Hello everyone! Welcome back to another stream of Love, Money, Rock and Roll. Last time we conquered the first of the girls, Himitsu. Today we're going to work on the second one, which will be Catherine, by the way. Should be a fun time. Hopefully it'll go well and awesomely and cool and quickly and epically as the last one. And apparently the first thing I do when it comes to Catherine is returning to my room, flopping down on my bed and thoughtlessly staring at the ceiling. Guess that's what I'll do. If only all this wasn't happening to me. I could be the one listening to the neighbor's domestic fight, condemning the husband, feeling sorry for the wife, thinking that the children did nothing wrong, and somewhere deep inside, feeling glad that my own family was alright. Well, I didn't have a family. I didn't even have any close friends. Only myself and, well, Himitsu. Not the most cheerful company, no matter how you look at it. I grinned bitterly at the same moment someone rang the doorbell. Probably her, but why would she ring? Coming! I shouted from the kitchen. Door open. Hey, Ruins. What's up? How you doing? Good to see ya. The door opened particularly slowly. My heart seemed to have frozen for a second. Catherine in the flesh was standing at the doorstep. Ruins, you're first. Yay. And hey, Mafia babe. Welcome back to the game. How you doing today? Mafia babe, you ready for some Catherine time? Catherine was standing at the doorstep. We looked at each other silently. Are we just going to stand here? Doing good, playing No Man's Sky and lurking? Well, good luck, Ruins. Find, the best planet you possibly can, alright? The bestest of the bestest planets. Well, no. I was in sort of a suspended animation. It was a situation you read about in books while thinking, that never happened to me. You're doing English homework? Oh no. I wish you luck, Mafia babe. You can do it. If I can do's it, so can yous. I just froze, not knowing what to do next, not even thinking about it. Maybe you'll invite me in? Yes, of course. Sorry. Not even bothering to take off her shoes, Catherine quickly headed for the kitchen. Same old. She sniffed after running an eye over my dwelling. Did you expect to see something different? Thank you. You're welcome. Good luck. Expect to see something different? I'd already somewhat come to my senses, but was still afraid to say something wrong, to make her angry. No, of course not. She sat down on a chair and crossed her legs. It's clean, I have to say. Do you clean it for yourself? A stupid question, of course, for Nicola Anokin to soil his hands. She stressed that nasty word, Nicola. She didn't like it when I called her Katya, and that was her way of getting back at me. To what do I owe the honor? I thought you'd tell me. But I wasn't the one to come to you. You came to me. So what? Catherine parried unfazed. You wanted to talk, didn't you? So here I am. Talk. Just like that? I looked closely at her and noticed that she had barely changed in the past year and a half. Grew a bit more mature maybe, and that mostly manifested as a certain aura of self-confidence. Why not? Well, I don't really know. First you avoid me in every possible way, then you turn up at my doorstep and demand a conversation. I'm not demanding anything. I can leave if that's what you want. No, wait. About to stand up, Katya stopped and flashed a smug smile. You weren't at school yesterday. Were you worried? She asked mockingly. Oh, come on, I don't even know where you live. I don't know your number. Should you? How am I supposed to even understand you? With a sigh, I sat on the chair opposite to her. You're just a sadist. Me? She let out a loud laugh. Count me out. It's you who's a sadist and masochist all in one. Well, She didn't finish, bit her lip and turned away. Do you think we should have met? We shouldn't have met in the first place? Hey, Eliza. You have to go, but you wanted to say hi. Hello. Good to see you today, even if it's for a little bit. Have a good flippin' day. You'll be back in 40 minutes. I'll be here. How many billions of people are there on the planet? What are the odds of a Russian guy and an American girl ending up in the same class of a Japanese school? Here you go with the philosophical bullshit again. Be a man once in your life. What? I wasn't even insulted, just surprised. Do anything at all to respect you for. Her voice got louder with every word. Make a choice, a decision. Is that so hard? I managed to. And then the meaning of her words slowly started to reach me. Doesn't look like you had to put much of your own effort into it. Took a French leave and deigned to send a single, meager letter. And naturally you're blaming others. Blaming me. Even though you deemed an explanation to be below you. By all means, you should have kept hiding in that country of yours. Why'd you drag yourself over here again? And if only it wasn't just that, but to act like this. I was infuriated and paid exactly zero attention to the change in Catherine's expression. Were Himitsu in her place, I could confidently have said she was about to cry. But Katya pulled herself together and said, quieter now, and you're absolutely convinced everything happened exactly like you imagined, aren't you? Why, it is convenient to fit the solution to the answer. What else was I supposed to think? I'm judging by the facts. But my voice no longer sounded as confident. Facts, huh? An unnatural smile appeared on her face. Facts? You think it was easy for me to come here? You think? She jerked her head down, but I managed to notice her cheeks twitch. Katya, Catherine, don't. You think you're the only one who has it hard? She suddenly jumped up from her chair and pierced me with a hateful glare. You think the world revolves around you, and if you don't know something, it doesn't exist? Yeah, it's kinda true. Going to go read a novel, Ruins? Ooh, what you gonna read? But yeah, the world does revolve around me. This is my visual novel. I'm the main character. Ha 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 ha. I don't think anything. I just don't understand what you're talking about. Hey, number 13th. Good to see you today. How's your day going? I almost forgot, Mafia Babe. I saw your eel in the Discord. It's very cute. You treat him well, alright? I love him. You don't? She sat down again and let out a nervous laugh. Heh 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 heh. Of course you don't understand, as if you could, and whispered quietly, What am I even doing here? It felt like I was a silent witness to a Shakespearean monologue on a stage. Was this what Catherine meant when she talked about the philosophical bullshit? Oh, you're doing good? You had breakfast at 3 p.m. My goodness. That is late for breakfast. If I could change anything... What? She asked sadly. It's not about you, isn't it? I don't know what's happening with you, but you're right. It's not about me. Not just about me, it's about us. There's no us anymore. I understand. Do you? Doesn't look like it. What do you want me to do? Act as if nothing happened? Hi, Katya. How you doing? Me? I'm quite fine. Glad to see you back. Is that it? I don't want anything from you. She stood up and walked to the door. You're pretending to be a victim of circumstance, a damn near holy lamb. Do you really not understand, Nikolai? Catherine turned around and looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. It wasn't me who decided to leave. It was my mother. She's always deciding everything for me. On the other hand, I felt terribly sorry for her. On the other, I subconsciously wanted her to feel the same pain that had been killing me for the last year and a half. Poor Katya. Poor Katya and poor Catherine. And poor me and poor everyone. It was a nasty, repulsive desire to take revenge on the person I loved, to prove to her how much I suffered and consequently how much I loved her. But that's not all there is to it, right? Maybe the decision wasn't yours, but it was what you wanted. Leave! She said it quietly, but her tone was so harsh that I couldn't even find the determination to mention that this was, in fact, my house. Leave. Catherine repeated, and I slowly dragged myself to my room. Yeah, this is my room. Wonderful, Nikolai. Shamefully kicked out of your own kitchen, crushed and beaten, without putting up even a token resistance, is what I was thinking, pacing circles around my room. On the other hand, if Katya simply needed to be alone, why couldn't I allow her that much? In any case, the goal of her visit was still a mystery to me. She clearly felt some need to talk and sort things out, but the attempt sucked pretty badly. Sometimes life can be much easier than one would think. Just a week ago, could I imagine Catherine just coming to my place so simply? Sure, I had been convinced I lost her forever, but even in my most desperate dreams, I couldn't imagine that the first thing we'd do after reuniting would be to get into yet another fight. It had been at least half an hour, at least, and there still wasn't a single sound coming from the kitchen. I was tired of waiting, but I still couldn't bring myself to go look at what Katya was doing. What if she'd left? Finally, timid steps sounded behind the door. Can I? And a quiet knocking. Yes. Catherine stepped into my room. She looked sad and tired, but there wasn't any trace of tears left. The lady could indeed preserve her dignity in any situation. Leave. No, not again. You must be thinking I'm a selfish birch. I wouldn't go that far. Well, you have the right to, she continued, paying no attention to my words. If you only knew how hard it is for me to. I didn't want to leave. Understand? I had to. I understand, but you could have at least talked to me. I couldn't. Suddenly, Katya's gaze, until then aimlessly wandered through the room, stopped on my table. Is this? She walked up to it and took the letter in her hands. It was sealed. You never read it? Couldn't bring myself to. I smiled apologetically. Probably for the better. What's in it? I just wanted to say I'm sorry. In the same dry and impassive way, a letter in the spirit of Miss Spock with a single line, live long and prosper. Fictional character in the Star Trek franchise. Character was brought up to a planet where showing emotion was considered bad taste. Often used the gesture named the Vulcan salute. Is usually taken to mean live long and prosper. Okay, good to know. I spread my fingers in the traditional Vulcanian greeting. Catherine laughed and let out a sob and averted her eyes in seeming shame. Yeah, something along those lines. Can I take it? Why? I asked in surprise. Because if you didn't read it then, you definitely don't need it now. Well, if you want it. Katya quickly folded the letter in two and put it in her pocket. She clearly didn't want me to read it. The question was, did she not want me to read it now or at all? But what's done is done. I no longer had the letter. And there was still no escaping the conversation. You say you didn't want to, then what happened? Why didn't you tell me anything? Catherine looked at me, and there was so much sadness in her eyes it almost made me break into tears myself. I didn't want to hurt you. She came closer and sat on the edge of the bed. And if what you did didn't hurt, I sometimes don't understand what's going on in women's heads at all. In yours especially. How could you do something like this to a man you love? Do you ever love me in the first place? I was starting to get riled up again, turning to the hose of anger and resentment on Katya. Of course, she said in a strident voice that left no doubt of her sincerity. I simply don't understand. It wasn't just about me. I mean, who else? Your mother? Well, yeah, she never liked me. Catherine didn't respond. You must know it's a bad excuse. I let out a sigh and looked out into the yard. Beyond my home's fence, the regular Tokyo life was boiling, millions of people caring not for my problems. They didn't understand me and didn't have to. But Catherine, tell me honestly, why did you come here? Katya persisted in keeping silent. So you can't tell the truth or you don't want to. Are my words not enough for you? She sobbed one last time, wiped her tears, and looked at me with confidence in her eyes. Or do you not believe me when I say I had my reasons? Not enough? I grinned and stepped closer. Would it be enough for you in my place? Would it be enough for anyone? Why wouldn't it? Why would it, Katya? Why would it? I don't know what's on your mind, but stop with your sophisticated physiological sadism already. Do you want me to leave? She asked with a strange, detached expression on her face. I don't know. It's up to you. I just want you to stop deriding me. Deriding, huh? Oh. Ha ha. Catherine moved closer and took me by the shirt, pulling on it slightly. New image with Catherine, guys. Yay. Catherine moved closer and took me by the shirt, pulling on it slightly. What are you doing? I was dumbfounded but didn't move. What does it look like? The look in her eyes. I knew it too well. But what was she trying to achieve? After everything that happened between us. Interesting, I know, right? Very. How? I clearly understood this girl much, much less than I thought. This looks like another one of your jokes. Nobody's forcing you, you know. She pulled more strongly. And what next? It'll only get worse. I understand you don't care, you don't feel. Come here, I'll show you what I feel. All your words, your tears, all for this. Things could have been much simpler. Simpler? Catherine started up. So you like it simpler these days with Himitsu, I guess? Do you bad? She stood up and threw my bed sheet onto the floor. I bet Miss Chastity is quite the slew in bed. Hands nimbly managed to belt up my jeans. Do you want me to do me? Do you want to do me the same way you do her? Oh dear. Oh boy. I gotta say right now, guys, I'm more nervous than a salmon giving a bear a hug right now. I'm capable of languid moans too, you know, Nico-kun. Not there, Nico-kun. I love you, Nico-kun. She parodied Himitsu. Katya, don't, please. The arousal was making my head spin. I knew it was wrong. I knew Catherine too well. She was doing this to hurt me. Anger, resentment, maybe even jealousy? I wasn't sure if she was entirely aware of her own actions. Oh, so I'm no longer good enough for you, is that it? You just love me, but would rather sleep with her? No, there's nothing between us. But you'd like there to be something, wouldn't you? I wouldn't. She totally would, though, and you wouldn't be able to refuse. Katya, enough. Look at me. I was afraid to raise my eyes at her. Look at me. Her cheeks were flushed, eyes glistening, breath heavy. Katya, please, I can barely hold... Undressed, throwing her blouse off. Don't you want to? I said nothing. I simply don't have the strength. If I were to take this step, it could ruin everything between us forever. I have the button, guys. Don't worry. I have the button. I carefully but firmly took her hands in mine. Of course I want to, but I can't. Fine, then. Oh, thank God. Catherine immediately cooled down, moved away from me, and quickly got dressed. I just wondered how you'd react. Wondered how I'd react? What? I was dumbfounded. What do you mean? What if I didn't stop? Well, then you wouldn't have. She shrugged her shoulders indifferently and turned away. Aw, not aw, for the sake of my channel. Good. No weird scenes, please. Is this a game for you? A psychological experiment? Something like that. I was interested in how consistent you could be. Leave, please. Leave. Don't order me around. I was about to go anyway. Then leave already. I can't look at you anymore. She huffed, but then the front door in the hall opened. Nico-kun, are you home? Hey, Petty. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the visual novel. How you doing today? It's good to see ya. Go meet your guest, or have you already? She didn't finish, just smirked. We're here, Katya suddenly shouted. A couple seconds later, Himitsu shyly peeked into the room. Kari-chan, hi, I just dropped by. I immediately remembered how they had been fighting just a couple days ago. Oh God, don't mind me. I'm already leaving and won't disturb the two of you. He's all yours. You aren't disturbing us at all. That's even better. When I and Himitsu were left alone, she asked, Why did Kari-chan come? That's what I'd like to know. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. I don't want to talk about it. Nico-kun! Himitsu looked genuinely upset. Sir, she was worried about me, but I couldn't tell her everything that happened. Now could I? She just wanted to explain why she'd return. And why did she? How have you been today, Petty? How's life been treating ya? I hope your travels have been good. Why did she? She failed to put into the words. Nico-kun! What? That's the truth. Yeah, it's not the best situation, but nothing tragic happened, and I'm not about to put my neck in a noose. You wouldn't even tie the right knot. She laughed quietly. Me? Of course I would. No knot can stand against me. Alright, let's eat. Yeah, let's eat, I guess. You're okay? Said that it's Monday? Yeah. Happy Monday, everyone. But hey, we have a full week of games to play. That's the good thing. Full week of games. Desperately wanted to change the topic. Just wanted to see how you'd react. What was that? A banana for a monkey performing a trick? How soon would she train me to stand on hind legs and bark on command? Although she never liked dogs, so I would have to learn to let out a convincing meows. Oh, dots. Over lunch, I tried not to look at Himitsu. Luckily, she was inclined to chatter either and even seem happy. You know, the Japanese hospitality industry is missing out on a great chef. What? Nico-kun? No, I've already decided who I want to be. Yeah, sure, but your cooking's also great. This time I was even telling the truth. Everything was in fact delicious. I can't always cook for my husband and children, Himitsu said and looked at me, something like a plea seeming to gleam in her eyes. Sure you can. I lowered my eyes and concentrated on finishing the curry. Should we go somewhere tomorrow? Tomorrow? Hang on a minute. She thought for a moment. I felt guilty toward Himitsu, guilty of all and everything at once. No, I can't tomorrow. I have to clean the house. Oh, alright then. Another time. Another time. Thanks for the meal. Sit up from the table and gather the dishes. I'll wash them. You don't have to. I can. No way. I gotta make myself useful at least somehow. Okay. Okay. I was silently washing the dishes while Himitsu sat motionlessly on the table, looking at me. Finally, I started to feel uneasy. What is it? Nothing. I was just daydreaming. What about? Just school stuff. Oh, okay then. It was absolutely obvious that at the moment we were both unable to talk about the things we wanted to do. But distracting ourselves with a natural conversation wasn't working out either. By the way, about the school, I still have so much homework to do. Yeah, homework's important. I guess I'll go then. See ya. See ya. This crazy day was coming to its end. It seemed like things weren't going too badly. I had made a grave mistake and everything seemed to be fine with Himitsu. Could life be starting to get better? But I still hadn't sorted out my feelings. Katya let me know today and she still cared for me. At least more than she was trying to show. Most probably there was something that I still didn't know. And what about Himitsu? I had absolutely no idea how to act around her anymore. One day she would get tired of pretending everything was fine, because things weren't fine for her, right? I wasn't even so sure anymore. She and Catherine had been fighting just recently, but today, Himitsu couldn't hold herself back in my presence. But what if things weren't at all how they seemed? So suddenly, I started to feel a strong headache. Went to the cupboard and looked for aspirin and happened across my father's old bottle of whiskey. There wasn't really any reason to drink today. Aspirin helped a bit, but blood kept throbbing in my ears. Sometimes life gives you another chance. This day could have gone much worse. Careful, Nikolai. You've been warned. Were you to leave the situation unresolved, you'd suffer until the end of your days. I'm going totally nuts. I grinned and went to sleep. Good night. Nighty-night, everyone. Oh, good morning. Right after I opened my eyes, the pulsating headache returned. It felt like I hadn't slept at all. Dark dreams born from my inflamed consciousness has kept me from getting any rest. I would wake up and fall asleep so fast that I couldn't tell dreams from reality. It was still quite early for a Sunday morning, but my headaches only got worse as I lay in bed. I got up and walked around the room, stretching with delight. The meager breakfast reminded me how much I miss Himitsu on days like this. Truly, it's easy to get used to something good, stop noticing it, and end up not appreciating it at all. Suddenly, someone knocked on my door, and I could hear a voice coming from outside. Nico-kun! Now that was unexpected. I dashed to the hall. Hi! Mitsu was shifting from one foot to another as if she couldn't bring herself to step in. I thought you were going to clean your house today. Yes, I am. Well, come on in. I just came for a minute. I looked at her questioningly. Although, alright. Himitsu smiled and stepped in. What is this? Himitsu gave the remains of my breakfast a rather displeased look. Let me make something quick for you. No need. I've eaten already. It was as if yesterday had never happened. I felt uncomfortable standing next to her, felt an urgent need to explain myself, but I was too scared to start the conversation all over again. Fine, then I'll make dinner and you can heat it up later. What about your cleanup? Cooking won't take long. Sunshine enough. I didn't mean to call her that. It was a habit. Himitsu looked at me with uncomprehendingly and quietly sat down on the chair, letting her arms drop impotently. Find some time for yourself. Not that you can call cleaning that, but still. Guess I should have stayed silent. If I didn't have things to do, I'd spend all my time for myself with you. She smiled, and her smile, sincere and even childlike, naive, gave me determination. Don't you feel bored with me? I got used to it. Not a good thing to get used to. I laughed, but Himitsu didn't bat an eye. Some people get rid of bad habits. Like who? Well, if I started it. Don't mind Katya. Until yesterday turned out stupid. I can only imagine what I'd think in your place, but everything's fine. What would you think in my place? Himitsu never looked away from my face but appeared absolutely calm. Actually, anything. I let out an idiotic laugh. What if she came to murder me? I wouldn't even be surprised. You don't think you're prepared for the day we have to break Himitsu's heart? I know. We have to tell her sorry. I'm dating this psychopath Catherine right now. Sorry, Himitsu. Are you serious? Let's change the topic. Mitsu fluttered up and went into the garden. What wonderful weather. Yeah, we could go out, but you still have cleaning to do. It's okay, we can go out another time. And now I'll get back to cleaning and to your homework. You did start your homework, right? And don't forget to eat dinner. Yes, Mom. I let out a sad sigh when the front door closed behind her. It had gone all right, even better than I could have expected. So had nothing changed between me and Himitsu? And what about Catherine? We never managed to have a proper talk the day before. Actually, I wasn't even sure if that's what she had come for. A scary thought crossed my mind. What if she did it on purpose? What if she was leading me on, hoping that Himitsu would catch us? She wanted to take revenge on me, fine, but why drag Himitsu into it? I started walking around the kitchen, hoping to calm down. Catherine hadn't just returned to Japan, to my school. She was back for vengeance. God, now this was paranoia. Even if she disliked me that much, and I'd somehow offended her, there was no reason to behave like this. It was Katya, after all. I knew her too well, or at least I wanted to think I did. Why not just ask her? Why not, that was simple. I dithered at the phone, staring at the piece of paper with captivating numbers written on it. Sure, I didn't have Catherine's new number and couldn't call her, but I also desperately wanted to finish yesterday's conversation. Set the record straight once and for all. But that's not how things go, is it? The phone suddenly rang on its own, and after a long time staring at the shrinking machine, I finally picked up the receiver. Hello? I didn't say a word. Hello? Catherine repeated with discontent clear in her voice. Life surprises aren't always unpleasant. Yes. Well, hi, she said calmly. How do you know this number? Did you really have it written somewhere? I did, Sherlock. How are you doing? I'm fine. I didn't know what to say to her over the phone. Look, do you have any plans for today? Why? Do you have a proposal? Well, yeah, I thought we could meet. Why? Honestly, I feel like we didn't really finish our conversation yesterday. Is that so? Alright, fine. See you at the city center at 2, and don't be late. Okay. I didn't even have time to finish as she hung the phone. Well, it could be worse. Catherine had agreed too easily, even. Probably took me too long to get ready. I spent an hour deciding on what I was going to wear, then took a shower, shaved, combed my hair. Seriously, I was going to a meeting or a date. On Sundays, people in Tokyo tend to move slower than usual. And not only because they don't need to go to work, but recreation is a ritual. They spend 5 or 6 days a week courting their clients, and then they expect to be courted by waiters, shop assistants, administrators, actors, and singers. It is extremely important to show your status as someone who's earned the right to respect and polite treatment through hard work. Sunday is the day when the man in the gray suit does not stand below anyone else, when he is their lord. Hey, Geek and Rat! What's up? Welcome to another day of this game, where we try to court Catherine this time. How have you been, though? How's life treating ya? Among another thing, young people strutting around in colorful outfits and pretending to be social rebels. They feel superior to those hideout retro grades, having a couple years to spare before they start molting, shedding bright feathers and growing protective gray fur for the long summer of life. Observing all the different characters of Japan's capital distracted me from the thoughts of Catherine, so I managed to get to a meeting spot pretty quickly. The clock on the shop window across the street indicated that there was still a half hour left. Tick-tack, tick-tack. I'd almost had enough of this. Catherine was just about a half an hour late. Japanese people usually agree to meet at all the same places, near stations, at fountains, and squares, and at monuments. Why this shop, then? Because this was the place where we had our first kiss? Just like that, on a busy street in the afternoon, without shame in front of everyone? Maybe it wasn't the most romantic place, but I couldn't wait anymore, and she didn't seem to mind. But it all happened so long ago, as if in a previous life. Now I was standing here, losing the last remnants of my self-respect, waiting for who knows what. Sorry. I turned around to see Catherine standing in front of me. It was strange that she appeared from that side. I thought you'd come from there. I waved my hand in the direction where her house used to be. I don't need to take the subway anymore. Miscalculated the time a little. Stellar logic. Yeah, sure, the one who came late to school always lives closest to it. A little? I've already stopped waiting for you. Then what are you doing here? Oh my gosh! about Himitsu, but I couldn't just jump to that right off the bat. Let's enjoy the silence then. Dialogue that we've seen already. A continuation of the other night? It's more convenient than before, isn't it? Yeah, closer to our school. Inviting me here after what happened yesterday seems a bit strange to me. It was a moment of weakness, you might be surprised, but I'm a human being too. We should have talked right away. I guess you're right about that. I remained silent. I'm afraid to interrupt when she was speaking so candidly. Like I said, any dialogue I've read before, I won't be reading it again. Alright, so let's zoom on to whatever's next. Oh, there she is. She's in this playthrough too. Irene is here too, guys. And she's evil. Kind of, I guess. I don't know. Loading. So what's next? Here's school. There's Himitsu. There's Catherine. There's those two lads. We're chillin'. Talking the shoes. It seemed like something like this had happened already. When I ran after her, caught her by the hand, and she threatened to scream. Eek! It felt like the moment had happened way over a week ago. Though I was just afraid to approach her, I feared even to appear in her line of sight. Was I afraid she'd notice me? Was I afraid to simply walk out of the school gates, leave the safe territory? Finally, a car stopped near Himitsu and she got in. Oh god! Alright. Everything's good now, right guys? Is there a threat to my life now? I don't think so. I think we're fine. We're fine. We're alright. We're not gonna die, right? No deaths? Right, we're meeting with what's his name? Ichinose. That's his name, right? What's his name? What if I named my son that? Hello, what's his name? Good, nice to meet you. Hello. You have a feeling we might die? Maybe. If it happens, oh well, you know. Ha ha ha, that's life. Stay home, go to Catherine. Something tells me it's go to Catherine. Yep, go to Catherine. Shocker, huh? Himitsu probably wouldn't be happy if she knew I was here at the entrance to Catherine's house. Fast forwarding. Fast forwarding. It's nighttime now. Himitsu was waiting for me inside. Some brew of unspecified composition stood atop the stove, while she herself was sitting at the table reading a book. Nico-kun, what took you so long? Oh god, now we're fast forwarding. Oh my god. Here we go. All is well. We're loading now. We're all happy. Everything's fine. There's intense music playing. Here's Kyosuke again, cracking jokes and being an anime otaku. Here's that flashback again. Flashback with Catherine. Dating or something, or maybe we're not, I don't know. Oh yeah, this is still the flashback. This is good. The more dialogue I skip, the more I don't have to read. I'm very grateful that I don't have to read all of this stuff. Oh, hi. It's none of your business. I'm going through a rough patch in my life. So what do I have to save now? That's weird. Load save 5. I gotcha. It's none of your business. Bish. What are you, my psychologist? A relative? What are you, a psychopath? A weirdo? We're here again with this guy, with this lad. Ding dong! Hi, Catherine. How you doing? Good to see ya. Oh, hello. Ryunosuke, is he still evil here? I'm gonna guess probably. Probably yes, he's still evil. Go to the movies, go for a walk. Go to the movies. Yay! It's expected to be silent during a movie, and I wasn't in the mood to talk to her. Oh, we're fast forwarding through the movie. Yo, Mafia Babe, what if you were in a movie theater and you fast forwarded the movie? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be flippin' weird? What am I even asking right now? I don't know. I think we have one more question to answer on this save, so we'll see what happens. Actually, shouldn't say stuff like that. I want what I'm going for to be a secret. You never heard that? Oh, hi there. Hey, Kagome. Don't worry, your turn's coming up. Don't you worry. That would be interesting. What if you could fast forward and rewind life? I don't think I'd like that, actually. Maybe rewinding life, but never fast forwarding life. Never, ever, ever. Hello. What's up? Let's see. It's none of my business. It's none of my business. Can't decide for you, Catherine. She has her own life. Alright, we are all set, lads. All is good. Oh, we're still finding out that Ryunosuke is evil. But just as I approached home, a car stopped nearby and several people emerged from it. It happened as if in slow motion, and if not to me. I felt strong hands grab me by the neck. A kick came to my backside of my knee, and my legs fold in response, and something heavy hit me over the head, making me pass out. Alright, Mafia Babe, look at this. We're here again. Yeah, we're kidnapped again. We did it. I came to my senses in a dark room lit only by a dim lamp hanging from the ceiling. I felt as if a small creature had been nesting inside my head, and was now desperately trying to get out, smashing its way through my skull. That's nice. I know. Isn't this great? We're kidnapped again? Yes! At least I got some sleep. I grinned sadly, and excruciating pain shot through the back of my head. Aww. When it rains, it pours. First came Himitsu's betrayal, then this. The KGB, the corporation, Japanese intelligence, I seem to be getting a little too popular. Hey, I called timidly. Hey, I said louder and still got no response. It was interesting how one shock pull built on another. I was shaken by Himitsu's betrayal, exhausted to the extreme, worn out by the lack of sleep, and now seemed to have lost any ability to care. In my position, I probably should have been shaking in fear, or at least felt some emotion more complex than delirium. Hey! I shouted as if upset with the kidnappers for not providing me with any entertainment. Sometime later, I heard the quiet clicking of heels on a concrete floor. It was getting closer, louder, but too slowly, as if someone was walking an endless corridor. The doors finally opened and I saw... Hello, Nikolai. Ah, she's back. Mrs. Winters. I responded, not even feeling surprised. I wouldn't say I was expecting her, but when you suspect everyone, no one is out of the question. Settled in? I hope you've got all you need. Boo, I know, right? Massive boo. She grinned. Cheryl Winters would beat Catherine by 100 points in a sarcasm contest, and considering the circumstances, her words felt more frightening than any of Irina's direct threats. I should have known you were behind it. It's something along the lines of what you thought I'd say, right? Two could play at that game, even if my hand was straight garbage. She didn't react beyond narrowing her eyes strangely, clearly having not expected this kind of answer. Gasp, I know, right? It's her. Ugh, I'm glad they're in a good mood. This will make it easier to get to the point. And the point is, why am I here? I assume we can safely skip the part where you're surprised that I'm not just a diplomat. And also kidnap people. I nodded. Catherine's mother wasn't used to beating around the bush either, or choosing soft words to explain hard facts. I'd very much like to know what exactly you gave Ito. She tensed up and leaned forward. I didn't give anything to anyone. Moreover, yesterday I didn't even know that Ryunosuke-san, that Ito works for Japanese intelligence. I tried to keep my voice calm as possible, and figure out where to look. Her eyes were piercing through me, and openly looked away seemed like the wrong move. And so my eyes kept darting around the cell that had absolutely nothing interesting in it. So, you went to Ito's village, for no reason. My words about Japanese intelligence didn't even surprise her. Not that it proved anything in and of itself. Yes, imagine that. Very interesting then. Your visit turned out to be so short. She knew everything. But how? If you know it all, why play this game? As luck would have it, I don't know it at all. Which is why you're currently here and not, say, at the bottom of Tokyo Bay. Mrs. Winters smiled lightly, as if she was having a casual chat. I guess I should thank you for that. Your gratitude would be expressed by answering my questions. I paused a moment, but realized I had no choice. I went to visit Himitsu, but accidentally eavesdropped on her father's telephone call about how he's been watching my parents for a long time. About how Himitsu now watches me. Catherine's mother grinned. I can imagine how you feel. Don't pretend you care. You aren't a stranger to my daughter, so I somewhat do. I can't figure out one thing. How can a parent use their children, both Ito and you? What makes you think I'm using Catherine in any way? How about the fact that she returned to Japan now? That she transferred into my class? Just a coincidence? I don't think so. Indeed, Cheryl Winters could be behind all of it. For some reason, you all think I have some kind of information on Dad's work. Who's you all? She immediately took interest, squinting her eyes and tilting her head to the side. I should have been more careful with my words, although that's probably what she was aiming at. Not that I would spill the beans about the KGB specifically, but a mistake. I wouldn't be surprised if you think that I helped him work on it, whatever he was working on. And what was he working on? Mrs. Winters grew even more wary. A Stanford tourist, damn it, how would I know? You make a very good point about coincidences. If you really don't know anything, it's very strange to have events happen around you that are completely impossible to imagine outside the context of a bigger picture. That's beyond a simple high school student. So we, the KGB, the Japanese, have all made a mistake. Apparently she wasn't going to hide that she knew about my contact with the Soviets. So who is we? The US, Kobayashi Corporation? People who can help you, Nikolai, if you meet us halfway. She sounded smooth and in some sense even more logical than Irina. Also, a prison cell makes it hard to think of much else but escape when you see a way out. I've already told you I knew nothing about Dad's work, and I've never had any of his documents. And even if I did, I would have given them away just to be left alone. Who would you give them to? You, responded hesitatedly. What if someone offered a more attractive price? A more attractive price than my life? Nikolai, don't be dramatic. Do you think we got the good ending? Yeah, definitely we got the good ending here. Absolutely, Mafia Babe. She suddenly laughed. We're simply having a conversation, discussing a potential mutual beneficial collaboration. Naturally, I understand that there are others who are interested in you. Like who? Like your Japanese friends. You mean Kyosuke? I made an awkward quip. I doubted she was talking about Kobayashi Corporation. They probably knew full well what was in those non-existent documents. It's a bad idea to forget your friend in need, especially girlfriends. Girlfriends? Now what was new? I don't know what you're talking about. Cheryl Winters didn't respond, only stared at me like an art critic studying the work of some avant-garde artist. How could I not believe such a sincere young man? Her lips stretched into a fake smile, and she knocked on the door. Is that it? What else would there be? Except, I guess, she froze in the doorway, turned around, and gave me a chilling glare, without a trace of her former sarcasm, theatrical sympathy, and feigned kindness. We'll pick up where we left off today, if you give us a reason. Oh, by the way, bang. A sack was put over my head, I was led through dark corridors, stuffed into a car, and thrown out next to my house. It was the dead of night. What a great day that was. I had such a fun time. My entire body. Are dreams necessary to recover your strength and enjoy a proper night's rest? Sometimes after a drinking spree, you see twisted, distorted nightmares and wake up feeling exhausted. And sometimes after a hard day's work, you just fall asleep and vanish from the world of the living until morning. This time I saw no dreams. Yo, where my dreams at, bro? I opened my eyes when it was almost dinner time. Hammers were banging rhythmically somewhere in the distance, and the air in the room was unbearably stuffy. My wet hair was sticking together and trying to get into my eyes. My dirty clothes were glued to my body, and the sour smell of day-old sweat hit my nose. Once I managed to get up, I realized I felt rested enough. The wound on the back of my head was no longer seemed deadly, only making itself known when I tried to wash out the dried blood stuck in my hair. At least I'm alive. Mitsu's betrayal, Catherine's mother, the KGB, Kobayashi Corporation. It seemed I'd reached some sort of technological singularity. The number of new facts exceeded the limits of my brain's computational power. I could have handled one of these things, or at least lived with it, but when they came all at once, I guess I just got burnt out. No one could react to everything that had happened to me so calmly. People say there are things worse than death. In a sense, I had died spiritually. Himitsu, the person I held closest, had betrayed me. Catherine, the person I loved, didn't even consider me worthy of being called a human being. Wasn't that the case? Human beings have at least some rights. Nevertheless, I stubbornly refused to believe she had anything to do with it. Had Katya really been aware of her mother's plans all this time? Had she been lying cold-heartedly looking at me in the eye? Someone rang the doorbell. Every ring sounded louder or quieter, depending on what you had expected or not. This one sounded completely normal to me, and I opened the door without a second thought. Things couldn't get worse, could they? It was Catherine. I stared at her silently, not knowing where to start. Are we going to just stand here? She eventually said, sounding annoyed. How did you even find the nerve? Ah! Whatever the case, I didn't want to talk on the street, so I turned around in a rather dashing manner, tapping my heels together, and quickly walked to the kitchen as if remembering I'd set a pot on fire. Would you like some coffee? Katya followed me and stopped at the table, hesitating. Sorry, I never have coffee. I can get you some tea? You're acting even weirder than usual today. And what did you... Don't want any? All right then. I interrupted her and walked to the stove and set a kettle. Katya sat down and gave me a questioning look. It was rare to see an expression of such genuine confusion on her face. I take it you came to continue yesterday's conversation? I jumped to her and loudly landed on the chair next to hers. Catherine flinched. Yesterday you had an interesting night. What happened? Tell me. My thoughts were completely messed up. I couldn't figure out who my enemies were and if I still had friends. We didn't talk yesterday. I guess so, though I did have a very interesting conversation with someone else yesterday. Who with? Your mother. A very interesting, but at the same time unpleasant talk. She bit her lip and looked away. Nothing to say? I don't know why she came. Came? I laughed and gave her a short summary of yesterday's events, leaving out the KGB, Himitsu, and other information not directly related to Winter's family. Nick, I didn't know that she... I'm sorry. You got a victory royale and Fortnite and some fries. Oh, I remember you told me about that. The victory fries. That's awesome. I'm glad you got a royale, a win. The look on Catherine's face made shivers run down my spine. It was an expression that would make you forgive someone you love, even for genocide. But what mattered to me right now wasn't whether she deserved forgiveness, but whether she had known about her mother's actions. Looks very incoherent. Your story does from the very beginning. Do forgive me for no longer being ready to take you on your word. It was amazing. I'm glad. Glad you had a smashing time. I stood up and started walking back and forth across the kitchen. The return to Japan, the transfer to my class, these notes, and your mother. Why, Katya, why are you doing this to me? Couldn't you refuse? She'd do just fine without you. Catherine lowered her head, her hair hiding her face. I don't even blame you. I just want to understand. Do you really care so little for me? Maybe you just hate me, and this is your revenge? Then just tell me. I didn't know, understand? Finally, she jumped off the chair, ran to me, and grabbed me by the collar. I I always end up the one to blame because of my mother. She does something and you think it's me. I don't know. It was hard to look into her tearful eyes. What do you expect me to think in this situation? This is the real world, Katya, and we aren't Romeo and Juliet, kids from different warring factions. Maybe your mother doesn't want my immediate death, but how do you imagine our relationship? I grinned bitterly. Damn, I don't even know if I believe you or not. I really wanted to. Mom wouldn't do me any harm. Sure, but what stops her from harming me? Catherine let go of me and turned away. I realize what it looks like. I understand what you're thinking and feeling, but that's not why I came here. Then why? Doesn't matter anymore, she said very quietly. Or because your mother sent you, my inner skeptic objected with ease. For the documents I don't have. Do you think that I'm lonely? Aren't you? She looked at me with something like hope in her eyes. Well, I have Himitsu. I replied with a stupid giggle, sounding like I made an excuse. Do you? And where is she? At her grandma's. The memory of what I had heard there stung in my chest, and Katya seemed to notice my reaction. So I was right. I just sighed. When you read It's Like I'm in a manga only makes you smirk. What are you supposed to do when your real life starts resembling a Korean drama? Part melodrama and part spy thriller. I didn't even know which of them was more prevalent. So you were right. Why don't I hear as usual? You can joke around, and even in a situation like this. She smiled sadly. What else can I do? I don't even know what your mother wanted. Maybe you'll enlighten me. I've already told you. I don't know. The situation really was absurd. If I could simply seek solace with Himitsu, I would almost definitely not be having a talk with the daughter of my enemy. But I couldn't, and that changes everything drastically. It was hard to be alone in Catherine, even though I couldn't be sure about her true motives. Catherine! I had no one closer than her right now. Okay. And most importantly, I desperately desired said closeness, even in such a distorted and perverted form. Ah! I assume you have no plans for the evening? She suddenly smiled and looked me in the eye. Except for sitting around waiting for the CIA, maybe. It'll all be in my report. I guess not then. Let's go then. Is this a date? I don't even know. Catherine replied mysteriously. Oh, a date. What was I expecting, really? That I would kick her out or berate her for her mother's actions? Didn't even matter what I'd been thinking a couple of days ago. Those thoughts were caused by pain and resentment, and I should have known that everything would change as soon as I saw her again. I should have probably been angry at myself for my impotence and lack of will, but I was just happy that we were together again, here and now. Catherine was walking by my side, but not too closely. But what I had been doing had Himitsu been home? I looked at Catherine, and she was watching the huge TV screens displaying the strained performance of a popular singer. No, I wasn't ignoring the situation with Himitsu. I just didn't want her to stand in our way now, when we were finally together. Stretching is good. Oh, it is. Stretch, don't get any blood clots, right? Right, guys? Well, you don't see that at every corner in the U.S., she said in an admiring tone. TV sets? I asked without much interest, mostly to keep the conversation going. Right, yeah. We don't want them. Those are bad. Don't tell me you wouldn't want to have one at home. If you plugged in your game console, it'll almost feel like virtual reality. This kind of excitement was a bit much for her, but I was afraid to change the subject in fear that things would end in a fight again. Well, I guess. Afraid Himitsu would get mad at you again for playing too much? I wasn't even thinking about that. She laughed too sincerely and even childishly. I grew embarrassed and looked away. Himitsu at least takes care of me. And it's a pity she's not here. I'm sure she'd give you a lecture about all the harm video games cause. Was about to reply, but Catherine accidentally or on purpose brushed my hand with hers. I reached out to take it. It was just an impulse, an instinct, but quickly held myself back. The situation wasn't normal, after all. Katya, why are we here? Just having a walk, aren't we? What is this for? After everything that's happened, we can't just walk together. You know that perfectly well. Her expression darkened immediately, even making her look a couple years older. If you don't like it... Katya turned into an alley and quickly started walking away from the trade district. I just tried to keep up. What did you even want from me? To tell you that I work for the CIA? Will that make you feel better? Why did you go with me, then? Why are you here now? You've spent the entire time trying to think of a way to neatly to take my hand. She noticed even that. If she really was working with their mother, then the CIA was in luck. You seem to know everything, and you're making good use of it. Then why do you think you're the only one who... Hello? A familiar voice interrupted her. Ha ha! Michael was standing in her way. Oh yeah, didn't Michael kind of like Catherine? But now we're with Catherine. Uh-oh. Hello. I replied in a strained voice and immediately looked at Katya. She didn't look surprised at all, as if she had been expecting to meet him here. I wondered what part of our talk Michael had heard. What are you doing here? My voice sounded more displeased than hostile, like we were playing Dragons and Dungeons. That's not the right title, and I'd been forced to skip my turn. Am I interrupting? This is gonna be fun. It is. Wouldn't it be polite to say it, but since you asked, Catherine interrupted me confidently. I understand. Why are you starting again? I grumbled at her. Catherine was looking at the two of us with the interest of an entomologist observing the meeting of a wasp and a mantis. Kill him. If this was that kind of game, I would make the attempt. But it's not. You haven't interrupted anything. I was just surprised to see you here. I looked around trying to understand where that here was. Why was I denying the fact that I wanted to be with her so stubbornly? Who was I trying to prove it to? Him or myself? I mean... Michael looked at me like I was an idiot, which only made me mad. I immediately recalled our conversation about Catherine yesterday. We're just taking a walk. Something wrong with that? Nothing. You look good together, by the way. Thank you. He kept standing there looking at me, as if waiting for something. You have class now? Aw, I'll be back soon, Mafia babe. This thing is only just starting. But yeah, good luck in class, Mafia babe. Take care, and have a good one. Katya also seemed to be wanting for some kind of reaction from me. Everyone expected something of me, but silently looking into my eyes with the reproach, frowning, nodding their heads in understanding, and glancing at each other. Well, it was nice talking to you, was the one thing I managed to say. Alright, I'm not going to disturb you two any longer. I didn't respond, and what could I say? Michael left, and I immediately snapped at Catherine. What the hell was that? Did I say something wrong? Why give the guy the wrong impression? I think he understood everything correctly. Actually. Oh, Katya, do you want everything to be exactly how it looks? Don't you? I'm sure that's impossible considering the circumstances. Your mother. My mother, what? What does she have to do with anything? I understand things didn't work out well with her, but it was an accident. An accident? I shouted so loudly that the entire world around us went silent for a second, looking at the unexpected troublemaker in shock. When you get hit on the head, kidnapped and interrogated, and the mother of the girl you love is behind it. Oh, so you still love me. I felt my face starting to flush but forced myself to continue. Don't change the subject. When too many accidents happen one after another, it's a system. What are you even trying to do here? Fine, whatever. She scoffed and prepared to leave. Got nothing else to say? Catherine was silent. I grabbed her hand, but she didn't even try to break free and stopped obediently. If you want to take revenge on me, be my guest. If it would really make me feel better. I can't change what my mother has done, but I can take your anger instead of her. Katya was clearly holding back something that she didn't want to tell me. Something that I didn't understand at all. And was hurting her, although not intentionally. Sorry, I'm just confused. I let her go. Catherine didn't move. I don't know what to do. Maybe I'm just afraid. Yes, I'm afraid. Afraid of you and myself and everything that can happen next. It's normal to be afraid. But is it normal to trust no one? Is it normal to expect every person you know to be an enemy? That's paranoia. And what if you have good reasons for it? Real reasons to suspect even the people closest to you? Catherine couldn't know that I was talking about Himitsu. All that could be applied to her in the same way. Is it normal to live like that, Katya? I laughed and suddenly felt large tears rolling down my cheeks. I tried to wipe them, but only spread them all over my face, and felt so miserable that my only desire was to melt into the ground in an instant or disappear from this world in a quantum flash. I turned around and ran away. Home, far from everyone I know, from Michael, from Catherine, to crawl under a blanket and die of starvation, to hide away from fear, pain, friends, and enemies, and myself. My house wasn't that far, so right before I got too tired, I stepped on the porch and immediately heard someone's loud breathing behind my back. I turned around and saw Catherine. Again! What the hell? I asked in astonishment. She walked to me, all red and sweaty from the effort. Shut up! She snatched the keys out of my hands, quickly opened the door, and pushed me inside. Uh-oh. What is this? Katya sealed my lips with a kiss and we fell to the floor. I was so shocked that I couldn't resist. Sometimes you wait for something for so long that when it comes, you just can't believe it's real. Even if things weren't the way they had to be, we were together here and now, and in the future come what may. Uh-oh. Scared. Somewhere in the depth of my mind I could hear the sound of the front door opening. Nico-kun! Was I still asleep? Nico-kun, are you home? Dreaming a dream about me lying in my room, Catherine sleeping peacefully nearby, and Himitsu coming to visit. To make dinner, maybe? 3 of us would sit at a big table, drinking tea and eating pies, discuss school stuff, and laugh a lot. Then we would all fly to the moon, where we'd be met by violet hippopotamuses. Nico-kun, are you asleep? I would never have thought that hippopotamuses were the dumbest animals on Earth, but we were on the moon now, dancing in a circle with violet moon hippopotamuses. What the heck are you talking about? I quietly whispered, finally fully awake. Katya, get up, Katya. I tried to stir her up. What now? Catherine mumbled in her sleep and tried to turn to the other side. Himitsu is here. Get up. Oh, no. She needed just a second to realize what was happening. Katya abruptly turned around and looked at me in confusion. There was something else in her eyes. Fear. A hope that I would deal with the situation? But what was I supposed to do? Hide her under the bed? Under different circumstances, it would even be funny. Nico-kun, are you here? Brr. Catherine whispered vexedly. Oh no. Oh, double oh no. The panel slowly moved aside and Himitsu entered the room, only to cover us up with a blanket. Himitsu looked at us, slowly uttered, Nico-kun! She didn't even look especially surprised, just carefully, unblinkingly stared at us with her mouth slightly agape. Keri-chan! The worst that could happen, happened, and I had no expectations for what to come next. To a certain degree, I wasn't even interested in how it could turn out. Who could it be tragedy? Who would be comedy? What would we rather laugh at it and go drink tea with violet hippopotamuses? Excuse me? Mitsu finally forced out, but not to move a muscle. Yeah, hi. Catherine suddenly hopped up from the bed, wrapped herself in the sheet, picked up her clothes from the floor, and ran out of the room, eyes cast down. Mitsu kept standing in the doorway, stunned. Silently, like a memorial to my lapse from virtue. I don't know what to say. My voice sounded surprisingly calm and even a bit defiant. Like, what are you staring at me for? After what I learned about you yesterday, this is nothing. Mitsu didn't reply and simply left the room. Soon the front door in the hall closed behind her. Well, this is it. I told the now empty house, jerking myself up from the bed, and went to the kitchen. That went well. I had a stash somewhere, a bottle of whiskey left from my father. For some reason, he disliked vodka, but at the same time thought Japanese sake was too weak. I opened it and poured myself a glass. Perhaps in another situation it would be nice to get some ice, but now it kind of slipped my mind. The fiery liquid scorched my throat and warmed my insides. What a disgusting aftertaste after all. How could people like this stuff? I slowly sank onto the chair and poured myself another glass. Now it was all over for sure. Even after Ito's phone call I had eavesdropped on, there was still some hope. What if I had simply misunderstood? What if it was a prank? Not that I had anyone to blame. It was obvious how things turned out, and if subconsciously, I probably already had come to terms with losing Catherine. And even reacting to the situation with her mother like an unfortunate accident more than anything. Give me a second, guys. Okay. But Himitsu, to the last possible minute, I refused to believe she could do something like that to me. Did it even matter what I believe now? Did it matter if she had really betrayed me? Even if not, now it was all over. How the hell could I know? My fist loudly hit the table, the glass fell to the floor with the bottle of whiskey just jumped up slightly, landing in its rightful place with a dull sound. Looked at it closer, Scottish, with glass almost half a finger thick. It would take some effort to break. More effort than my relationship with Himitsu, as it turned out. I seemingly didn't care about Catherine anymore. It was my fault and there was nothing to do about it. But I couldn't have thought about the consequences, not just for myself, for her. I hate it! Eldon grasped my hand. I hate you! I was scared to admit to myself that I was talking about Catherine. After all, she wasn't to blame. I could have just refused. I could have. Another big gulp of whiskey calmed me down a little. Now I just had to figure out how to live from now on. Piece of cake. I smirked and cast a dull glance at the bottle. I'll call her now. Sometime later, the voice of Himitsu's father sounded in the receiver. Hello? What if she told him everything? No, that would be nonsense. What if she was crying in her room right now, and then I would barely coherently ask to call her to the phone? And what could I even say to Ito after what I learned about him? Hello? I hung up and returned to the kitchen. On the other hand, drinking myself to death sounds like quite the idea. I grabbed the bottle and sucked on it. One gulp, another. I barely suppressed my gag reflex. Managed to down about a half before I started feeling too sick. The walls of the kitchen were rocking, the floor pretending it was the ceiling for some reason. I couldn't fully understand what I had lost and if I had anything left at all. Perhaps tomorrow Himitsu would pretend nothing had happened. Or would she sulk? Or perhaps I don't exist. Maybe that's what Catherine was after, to take revenge on me. But God, for what? I finished the whiskey and was just sitting, staring ahead. It was far into the night, and the silent of sleeping Tokyo was hinting, clearer with every minute, that I had died. I didn't want to cry. It was as if I'd forgotten how to. Evolved, casting all unneeded feelings and emotions away, like atavism. I would be able to go on living automatically, like the robots from science fiction novels. Would be able to live, exist, and then I'd just stop. But why wait at all then? My cowardice and self-pity made me feel unbearably disgusted, as if I had a goal in life, a mission, a greater destiny than those spaceship pilots from Kyosuke's anime. I wished it was that way. If I couldn't live for myself, I would gladly give my life for someone or something else to finally fill it with meaning. Perhaps Himitsu needed me once, but not anymore. Everything's going so well. The old dusty tatami slowly began to approach, and then I lay on something soft like a cloud, flying off to the land of dreams, where there was no tomorrow and no yesterday, no pain and no suffering, only happiness and justice for all. Hey, Angel Love. Angel Love is here. How you doing today? How's life treating ya? Are you dealing with the schools too, like Mafia Babe is? I was sitting behind my desk staring at the window. The teacher was monotonously muttering something about the history of Japan's Middle Ages. God, why did I need to know any of that? Shoguns, katanas, and harakiri had all been left in the distant past. Now we were launching satellites into the cosmos, crossing oceans in mere hours and possessing the universal right of suffrage. Your school? How was your school today? Is it insufferable, or is it not too bad? At least most of us did. Now, if I were a samurai in ancient Japan, your computer died. Oh no. What happened? Why'd your computer do the dead? The bell to recess rang. Hi, what's your daydream about? Catherine approached me. You, of course. I can imagine. She smiled mysteriously. It's okay, that's good. Least it's okay, right? I'm sure you want to be here as little as I do. Well, I guess. Katya let out a joyful laugh. And who would you like to be? In that park. That park? That very bark. Yeah, sure. I grew somewhat embarrassed, but was saved by Himitsu as she entered the class. Computer is not keeping the charge. Oh no. Does it have to be, plugged in all the time now? Nico-kun, Caddy-chan. Hey, hello. I just wanted to ask if you want to go to the new ice cream cafe at the station. I think. Yeah, that's the same for my laptop, too. The battery on that computer is also very dead. Unless the two of you have a date planned, I mean. She added impishly. There's no Yeah, exactly. We're not going on a date. Catherine bent down and firmly grasped my hand. All right, I won't be a bother then, Himitsu said and was already about to leave. You aren't really. I guiltily mumbled. No, she is. Catherine's voice sounded unusually rude. Katya, what are you... Oh, so I am? Himitsu turned around and gave the two of us a foreboding look. Imagine that. Girls don't fight. I timidly tried to interfere. Maybe it's you who'd better leave. Just so you know, things have been going wonderfully for Nico-kun and me until you came back to Japan. Wonderfully? What a hypocritical birch like you, or with. Alright, I'm not here. Decided to demonstratively take myself out of the picture. But you really aren't, Nick, Catherine said, surprised. What? You killed us. All of us. Uh-oh. In a single moment, the class was flooded with red light coming from everywhere at once. Bloodied students with faces distorted in inhuman grimaces appeared from under the desks. Half the head of one was missing. The other's arm was swinging on sinew alone, and a girl with torn off lower body was crawling at me. I don't know what to do because your computer is dead. I would say, prepare yourself for a spooky scene. A scary scene. I shifted my gaze to Catherine, desperately looking for protection. Uh-oh, I don't like that. She was deathly pale, covered with a blood-stained bridal net. Is this how you wanted everything to be? And... Oh! Someone placed their hand on my shoulder, and I saw Himitsu with a giant hatchet stuck in her head. Yep. Why, Nico-kun, I loved you so much. I thought we would always be together. I loved you too. It was as if Catherine's voice was coming from under the ground, cold, distant, filled with pain and endless suffering. You could have chosen me. Or me. Shut up already. What was this? Was I going insane? I didn't know what was going on. I didn't want to know. I didn't do anything wrong. It's you. It's all your fault. You. I looked at Himitsu. If you really loved me and wanted to be with me, you could have been more assertive. We've been friends together as friends for so many years. Don't you understand? I'm just afraid to do something wrong. Screw up and destroy this connection between us. One today is worth two tomorrows. How could I know if things will work out for us if... And you. I turned to Catherine. Do you even understand yourself? Do you know what you are doing and why you're doing it? If you no longer feel anything for me and don't care about me, then why do you act like you do? Do you think I'm a complete idiot? You didn't have to return. You could have convinced your mother to transfer you to a different school. Who'd believe all this nonsense, or did you just want to torture me? The blood... Oh, no! I don't like that! The flow of blood from Himitsu's head grew stronger, and Catherine's net, now resembling a grave shroud, couldn't hide the empty sockets of the fleshless skull. You, both of you, but why? Nico-kun! Nick. You killed us! No, no! I screamed so hard and I ran out of air. I screamed so hard I became deaf from my own scream. I screamed so hard I melted into this horror. Echoing around me was the devilish laughter of the only people I really loved. I don't like it. I don't like it, Angel Love. I don't like it. My scream was silent. I lay paralyzed, unable to even open my mouth. The insides of my head rang with howls, but the room was absolutely silent. I tried to move my hand, but achieved no result. Instantly, a dark silhouette of a man in a long robe seemed to emerge in the far corner of the room. He seemed to be gleaming with gloom, burning with darkness. Flaming tongues coldly scorched me even from this far. The clock was slowly ticking, even slower with each passing moment. Finally, he started to approach me, his movements as unhurried as the blood of the second hand. When he reached the bed, I felt like every single second lasted at least an hour. And then he leaned over me, his hands pressing strongly on my ribcage. I was suffocating. With the last bits of strength, I tried to scream, but he was still mute. I peered into the hood and couldn't see the face. I knew it was death. Am I dead? I think I died. Maybe I died. Holy crap, that was scary. Ah! My own scream woke me up. Was it just a dream? I felt like I hadn't had nightmares in years, or any dreams at all for that matter. I was sitting in my bed, sweating and gasping intensely. Well, I had it coming. Even if it all had happened in reality, I would have deserved it. Himitsu seemed to not understand what had happened at first. And Catherine? She ran away, disgraced and humiliated. Back, besties. Hey, Eliza, what's up? Eliza, you missed something scary. There was a scary scene. I didn't like it. I didn't know which of them made me feel more ashamed. I acted despicably and cowardly toward Himitsu, and for Katya. What was that even? Definitely not an attempt to bring everything back the way it used to be. Well, I most probably lost Himitsu forever. At least no words or apologies could redeem me in her eyes. What happened? My character in the game had a nightmare, and there were like bloody peoples, and it was scary. If you want to see, go back in the stream like a couple of minutes, and you'll see the nightmare that I had. She would not forget it, no, just pretend it was all behind us. And what was I ready to forgive after everything I learned about her? Perhaps what happened for the best. If we didn't communicate... Oh, I'm sorry, I know, it's not... You didn't give me the nightmare, the game gave me the nightmare. It was scary. She wouldn't be able to spy on me. However, things were completely different in Catherine's case. After yesterday, she definitely couldn't claim she had no feelings for me. There was a chance that all of this was just an elaborate plan of revenge, or that she was unable to figure herself out. Whatever. How was your time away from the stream for a bit, by the way? Hopefully you were doing some good, amazing, productive stuff, Eliza. Love is better than hatred, but hatred is better than indifference. And surely any sort of indifference is better than, I don't care so much that I can't shut up about it, attitude. And that's exactly what Catherine had been doing the entire week. At every opportunity, she let me know that her return to Japan had nothing to do with me, and that she cared nothing for my feelings. Even yesterday's phony melodrama. By now my emotion had cooled somewhat, and yesterday's events no longer appeared to be some tragic coincidence. She must have come to me with a goal in mind. Perhaps she wanted to explain how things really were, apologize or something like that. It was easier to believe that her main goal was sex than that. I archly rolled off the bed and groaned. I didn't know how a marathon runner feels after winning the Olympics, but this was exactly the sensation of the morning of an Alco marathon. I wondered how many times Himitsu found me like this, lying senselessly like an animal. Oh, my parents' death hit me hard. I started to drinking regularly after Catherine and I broke up. First, I still attended school, pretending to be a normal person, but would get shit-faced every day. And then I fully realized the veracity of the saying, if drinking stands in the way of your work, then screw it, work that is. Puh. God, I don't know what would have become of me if not for Himitsu. She would come every day, cook, there was always a hangover breakfast waiting for me on the table, and even washed my vomit-soaked clothes. Ew. At that time, I didn't feel ashamed. A drunkard doesn't care much about morals. A heavy drunkard cares even less. Later on, I simply didn't want to recall what had been happening, including the way I'd been treating Himitsu. Of course, I was grateful to her, but this gratitude was sort of perfunctory, more like the relationship of a Japanese employee and his boss. I was really missing that hangover breakfast right about now. I wanted to make something resembling scrambled eggs, but couldn't force myself to eat it. Only water and aspirin didn't cause me to immediately gag. The autumn sun was still warm, but a light breeze had already started to blow in from outside. Sakura leaves would fall soon, and a new chapter of my life would start. I heard the sound of an approaching car. Turned out to be Himitsu's father. It would be better if he didn't see me in this condition. It would probably be best if he never saw me again. I was pointlessly staring out the window. The street was always pretty quiet, but on Sundays it seemed to completely die off. Naturally polite, Japanese people usually try not to disturb their neighbors anyway, but it appeared as if on Sundays they hid in their cellars, which was a pity. A little hustle and bustle could help me right about now. Haha, all well. A girl was walking down the street. And it was Catherine! I jumped up from the chair and leaned out the window. Yes, it was her! Again? However, Catherine didn't even spare my house a glance and entered Himitsu's yard. Uh-oh. She rang the doorbell, and after a few seconds, the mistress of the house appeared at the doorstep. Of course, I couldn't hear them from a distance. I couldn't really even see their faces. Just a minute later, both of them went inside. I was so shocked that even the ability to think straight took a while to come back. It was obvious that Catherine came to explain herself, but what else could this be? And she clearly believed I didn't deserve the same treatment. However, it was understandable. Katya cared a lot about what others thought of her. Even in a situation like this, what if they were all in cahoots? Himitsu's father watching my family, Himitsu watching me, Catherine also watching me, everyone watching me. These thoughts made my head spin, and I had to sit down, but she was only going to make things worse. I had no idea what they were talking about, what they could be talking about, what had happened yesterday. I couldn't imagine Catherine apologizing, and proving something to Himitsu was simply beneath her dignity. The wait seemed painfully long. Were they having a tea party there while I was torturing myself? Finally, Catherine left the house and the door closed behind her, but I never saw Himitsu. Katya appeared to be outwardly calm as usual. Stumbling into walls, I ran to the hallway, put on my shoes, and rushed outside. Catherine walked the route to the city center, not very quickly, but not slowly either. I ran after her, doing my best to stay unnoticed. God, why was I doing this? Couldn't I just approach her and talk? And most importantly, what was my goal here? Trace her to the safe house and catch the entire US intelligence network red-handed? Unfortunately, decisions made once can be very hard to change on the go. Oh. Is that actual Phoenix Wright right there? What's going on here? Why is Phoenix right there? That's weird. The hangover was making itself known. Even walking was hard enough, not to mention pretending to be a spy. The bright sun was blinding me, making my head spin, and the running and agitation made me sweat like a pig. I know, that is very, very similar to Phoenix Wright, isn't it, Angel Love? Scarily so, in fact. The decent Japanese passerby looked at me with surprise and apprehension. Odd behavior in public was not encouraged here. I meant odd to any extent my chase would have looked stupid in any country in the world. However, Catherine didn't look back once and thus never saw me. Soon we reached the city center and Katya slowed down. What is he doing here? I know. He wasn't even alive at this point, I don't think. What's going on here? Why did she come to this place? We had our first kiss as at the window of that electronics store. There were way more people on the street than my alcohol poison vestibular system could handle. I felt dizzy, off balance. At some point I lost sight of Catherine, stopped immediately in order to avoid running into her. Well, that was it. The logical outcome. You make for a bad detective. Her bored voice came from behind me. Wrong game. I know. He's in the wrong game. He's in a random visual novel. You, when did you figure out I was following you? I could smell your booze breath from a mile away. Katya said annoyedly. Then why all this? Why not? I assume you're not going to tell me what you were doing at Himitsu's. Isn't it obvious? Catherine wasn't even trying to hide her irritation. Of course she was entitled to her reaction, but aggression this blatant was a bit much. You could have stopped by my place too. Why would I? Because you... Is that so? She laughed much louder than would be considered appropriate. People looked at us with suspicion, and so Katya continued in a lower voice. Well, go write a police statement. Perhaps I'll get deported, then your life will be just fantastic. I don't see anything funny here, and no reason for sarcasm. Oh, why not? So you found it necessary to talk to Himitsu? That's none of your business. She immediately interrupted me and quickly walked away. The hangover was still obstructing my thought process, so I just followed her, trying to figure out how to continue our dialogue. Or if it was worth continuing. Maybe you should be deported, I said eventually. I'd be delighted. Catherine turned around and a weird, victorious, completely inappropriate smile appeared on her face. Is that really what you want? Have you ever wondered if I like spending my youth? She went quiet for a second, trying to find the right words, and finished in a louder voice. Here? Indeed, we used to talk about this often, and I knew Japan wasn't Katya's dreamland. Sorry. Do you still think I wanted to return here? You could have told me from the beginning. I grumbled under my breath. No way, why would I? You have such a wonderful life here. Your own house, a maid, you know what. I interrupted her abruptly. Don't drag Mitsu into this. Didn't even have time to finish. I didn't ask to be involved either. I just started to settle down in the States, making plans for the future. What college would accept me with a diploma like this? I understood her feelings, but couldn't do anything with mine. Is that all you care about? For a couple of seconds, Catherine stared at me with surprise and said, "Fuck you," and quickly walked away. No, you wait. I ran after her and grabbed her hand. Do you see what you've done to me, to us? What was that yesterday? Is this how you sublimate your problems? I don't think you know what that word means. Catherine looked unfazed, even though we were having a fight in the middle of the street. You know, this arrogance doesn't suit you at all, I said in a calmer tone, releasing her hand. You weren't like this before. Before. Katya bit her lip and turned away. Whose fault do you think that is? Well, not mine. People break up, it happens, but that doesn't make us enemies. It was unbelievably hard for me to say these words. You are so sure. You always think you know better than anyone else. Give me a second. Okay, better than anyone else. If I don't know something, it's because you don't share it with me. I was surprised by my own composure. Do you think this is just about me? I don't know, Katya, I don't know. That's the problem. You call me that again. She smiled sadly and I got flustered. It's second nature. Why don't you leave? She asked me in a tone that would suggest the preceding quarrel never happened. Excuse me? Back to the USSR. Well, it's obvious. I've lived here for most of my life. Even though you dislike a lot of things about this place. Do you like everything about the US? Would you go there with me? She stepped closer and smugly looked at me in the eyes. Catherine, enough. Is this a continuation of yesterday? Relax, I'm joking. She stepped back immediately and returning to that same indifferent facial expression. Your jokes are quite unusual these days. Even if they are, we're adults now. Does adults equate to insensitive in your mind? Well, definitely not too rapid. So I'm rabid now? Didn't you know? I had nothing to reply with and no desire to continue this conversation. Catherine simply stood there, looking at me expectantly. Was this really worth the farce following me around? I felt my emotions begin to boil, and my words felt as if uttered by someone else, first in an angry whisper, then ever louder. We don't see each other for a year and a half, then you come back, don't bother explaining yourself that your mother kidnaps me, and instead of having a normal talk, discuss it all, now you pretend like nothing happened. Am I the only one who thinks this isn't normal? Let's ask the Japanese, shall we? Excuse me? Roughly grabbed a person by the arm. Nikolai, calm down, Catherine said, scared. We're speaking English and thus weren't bothering people around us to a degree. Who knew what these gaijin were freaking out about? But grabbing people by the arm in the middle of the day was probably too much. Calm down. Why the fuck would I? Because you're embarrassing me. I don't give a shit. So you don't? Her eyes held so much anger and hatred it scared me. Then have your fun alone. Catherine left me surrounded by confused Japanese people. We aren't done. I quickly came to my senses and chased after her. Stop shouting, would you please? She abruptly went silent and frowned. Come. She pointed at the building entrance next to us. Unexpectedly, this turned out to be her house. Come where? To my place. Why? Just because, for fuck's sake. So you'll stop embarrassing both of us in public. Won't your mother mind? I asked sarcastically. She's at work. Katya responded calmly. Is that so? I drawled. Oh my god, let's go already. You can overthink it later. I unwillingly trusted Catherine. Standards of decency meant much to her, too much for my liking. Wasn't going to calm down, though. I just couldn't. Fine, if you say so. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't think, it's one of those, moments where I'm like, is this girl worth dating? Katya inserted the key into the keyhole and froze for a moment. Something wrong? I don't know yet. You'll tell me when you do, right? Catherine opened the door and turned to me, a strange indecisiveness in her eyes. I don't want to come off as tactless, but are we just going to stand here? She showed zero reaction to my joke either. Catherine? Uh-oh. Came a familiar voice from inside the apartment. I had no idea she was home. Katya pleaded in a whisper. It's all right. Let's go. Determined, I crossed the threshold. Whether it was an accident or not, Catherine wasn't lying to me now. Oh, what a pleasant surprise. Uh-oh. We entered the living room. As soon as Mrs. Winters noticed me, she threw aside the Time magazine she was reading. There was something about Selling America on its cover, stood up and smiled. If I didn't know what kind of person she really was, if that interrogation had never happened, would I have believed this smile? Feels like we haven't seen each other for an eternity. Well done bringing Nikolai here, Catherine. Mom, aren't you supposed to be at work? Lucky me for finding a spare minute. I couldn't understand what this farce was for. Katya knew what had happened because I told her. I knew because I was there myself. Mrs. Winters knew. Knew enough not to continue the stupid performance. Excuse me. Dear, please make us some tea. You don't like coffee, Nikolai, do you? No. Would a normal person remember such a trifling detail? Nevertheless, she was the one who was setting the rules. As disgusted as I was, I couldn't just tell her everything that was on my mind, especially with Catherine around. When the door to the kitchen closed, Mrs. Winters graciously sat down on the sofa, crossing her legs, and invited me to sit next to her with a gesture. I'd rather stand. Do you want Catherine to hear everything? I didn't think you kept secrets from your own daughter. She squinted and gave me an appraising look. Anyway, wasn't really going to argue with her. Just wanted to preserve a shred of dignity and sat on the edge of the sofa as far from her as I could. Why does it seem to me that this isn't a coincidence that you're at home right now? I've already told you not to believe in coincidences. So what do you need from me? What was the kidnapping and interrogation for? Why this conversation? Really, she wasn't demanding anything in particular from me, unlike Irina. At that moment, and the day after, I wasn't in the right condition to analyze everything that had happened calmly, but now it seemed strange to me. I just want to help you. And once again she flashed that devilish smile that hid her true intentions. I didn't know what Cheryl Winters was up to, what she had prepared for me and Katya, and that scared me even more. Does Catherine know what you do besides diplomatic affairs? Oh, I think she does now. You've told her, haven't you? You know what I'm talking about. Well, let me think. She moved closer to me and leaned down so I could clearly see the inside of her blouse. That was a completely unnecessary maneuver, Cheryl-san. Your daughter's breasts were more than enough for me yesterday. Wait, what kind of nonsense was I thinking about? She continued in a half-whisper. What kind of mother would I be if I put the life of my own daughter in danger? So associating with me puts her life in danger. Or what? I don't understand you. Here's the tea. Catherine slowly walked into the room with the tray in her hand, while Mrs. Winters prudently moved away from me. Oh, it's so late already. I need to hurry. Have fun. Mom. What were you talking about? The tea was getting cold on the table, and an uncomfortable silence hung in the air. If I were to tell her now that I believed her, then I believe that she didn't know. If I were to say that right after I had talked to her mother, I would thus acknowledge that I didn't, for a second, trust her own words. I don't understand what she wants from me. She could at least try to make herself clear. I mean, I really have no idea. None. Catherine lowered her head and looked away. Sorry it turned out this way. You couldn't know. And still, as soon as I started thinking for a minute that I'm in control of my life, what would I feel like with a mother like hers? What kind of mother would I be if I put the life of my own daughter in danger? Is safety a necessary attribute to freedom? To some extent, a prison is a very safe place. Cheryl Winters has been carrying her daughter around like a suitcase for her entire life. But what about Catherine's own feelings? You make friends, fall in love, and yet can't be sure tomorrow if you won't be taken to the other end of the world. Katya, I'm sorry. I sat next to her and hugged her. Can I consider us together again after what had happened yesterday? It's not your fault. I didn't feel any reciprocity, so I let go of her. I just want to say that I was thinking only about myself and my own problems and didn't understand how you felt. Good to hear that. She looked at me and gave me a slight smile. I like to do something and help somehow, but I don't know what I can do here. And to be honest, I'm not in a position to say something like that. Thank you for the kind words, at least. Katya! I was about to kiss her, but Catherine quickly jumped off the sofa. Hey, Nilos! Got you tabbed? Thank you. How you doing today, my dude? I hope you're doing well and you're feeling better and all that stuff. Catherine quickly jumped off the sofa. Better talk with Himitsu and clear things up. Clear up? What exactly? Although I knew what she was trying to say. But why Himitsu? Why now of all times? I don't want to talk about her. And that was the truth. And if I tell you what I was doing at her place this morning, I don't care. Actually, I did care, but I simply couldn't allow myself to be blackmailed like that. If you really didn't, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Catherine turned away and then apparently noticed the tray, picked it up, and walked to the kitchen. So should I think that nothing's changed in our relationship, even after what had happened yesterday? She froze in the hallway, but didn't turn to me. Are all changes for the better? The conversation was over. Catherine still washing the dishes, and it was time for me to leave. There was still Himitsu. If I were killed today or tomorrow, if I were to live in this house, this city, this country, I would have to interact with her somehow. What a cold, emotionless word, interact. It sounded like a report about testing Zyklon B, the gas interacted with the subject's respiratory systems. But I just couldn't imagine Himitsu in a Gruppenführer uniform, issuing the command to release the gas. However, I didn't know how to look her in the eyes after what I heard from her father, after what she saw yesterday. I still felt ashamed. You can't change your attitude towards the person who's been closest to you for the past 10 years overnight. I was pointlessly wandering around as the sun set slowly to be near the horizon, wrapping itself in its rare fleecy clouds. The skyscrapers of glass and concrete were highlighted like huge candles, bringing their shine to the sky. Turbulent streams of cars spilling onto the avenue in the evening rush hour, beeping, overtaking each other, and trying to win at least a couple extra meters to get to a higher position in the endless traffic jam. I sat on a bench and started looking at this pointless race, Sisyphus against the stone. Why hurry to get to the top if you'll just have to start everything over again? Somebody sat next to me and unfolded a huge newspaper. Uh-oh. I wasn't even particularly surprised when I realized it was Irina. Anything interesting to read? She didn't turn to me or react in any way at all, but sometime later replied, not very loudly or quietly, as if talking to herself, "Don't look at me. You mean someone's watching us? I mean that caution never goes amiss. Why not just come to my house, then? Ask your American girlfriend. Is that what you want to talk about? Stop playing dumb, Nikolai." I heard the soft rustle of paper. You've been told to behave normally, not to stand out, do nothing and not stick your nose where it's not supposed to be. What did I do exactly? Can't I just visit a classmate? I don't know what kind of business you have with Ito's daughter. After all, it's none of ours. But the CIA, do you really think... I interrupted her. That I'm some sort of goddamn spy? That I'm working with both the Japanese and the Americans? Know everything about my parents' work and have some secret documents somewhere? Do I look like that kind of person? I wasn't shouting, but my voice was clearly louder than she wanted. No, you don't. Irina finally responded, gritting her teeth. Still, the facts are clear. CIA agents took you in the middle of the day and didn't even pay a second thought neither to us nor, what is even weirder, the Japanese. This could possibly mean only one thing. It really needed something from you. I smirked. If only she knew what Catherine's mother had really told me. Or, well, if only she knew that she hadn't told me anything. Maybe that was the plan, to frame me in the eyes of the KGB. Two pieces of the puzzle seemed to connect, showing me the overall shape of the building's foundation. But the biggest issue was that this entire building was founded on the theory of my exceptional importance in the geopolitical affairs of great superpowers, and I couldn't believe that at all. What's so funny? Nothing. It just seems like you're taking me for some sort of James Bond. Whatever the case, we don't know what you're talking about. And we have no reason to trust you at this stage, even if you wanted to tell us. Then why are you here? Irina carefully folded the newspaper and looked at me for the first time. In the rays of the setting sun, her wheat-colored hair seemed to have come alive, making me imagine a boundless field somewhere on the site of the Volga River. I got embarrassed and looked away. She was beautiful, but something about her was giving away impulsiveness and juvenile radicalism, the desire, but not always the capability to serve and to be acknowledged. The negligence of the little things. Irina could make mistakes while waving her sharp scythe and dropping crops into neat stacks. Unlike Mrs. Winters, she wouldn't be cutting each and every one of them at the root, examining them carefully, studying them, paying attention to the smallest details. To warn you again, you, Nikolai, are also involved in the Cold War. All that's left to do is pick a side. Fiery speeches from Soviet propaganda were hardly able to impress me. She looked around and frowned. And what's most important, I can't figure out why the hell it has to be you. She could do with less emotion being a spy and all. No wonder the USSR wasn't exactly winning this Cold War. Even though you may be the most awkward candidate for the position, only you know how awkward it feels to me. A poor craftsman blames his tools. So do you believe that I have nothing to do with your spy games? Suddenly, Irina smiled, which made me uncomfortable. Today she was much friendlier than last time, and it was frightening. Mrs. Winters resembled a hawk, hiding in an ambush and long waiting for its prey. Irina was more like a lion, a strong, powerful, but impulsive animal. Lions often play or even caresses their prey before they eat it. So what did you talk with the American about? Just as I thought, the friendly expression disappeared from her face in an instant. The same I did with you. My parents' work, some documents I had never seen in my life. Very strange. She paused. What exactly? That is, if you are telling me the truth. God. I sighed and threw my hands up. All right. She smiled again, and this time her smile even seemed sincere. It's strange that the Americans are interested in the documents. It might mean that some information had indeed been leaked to the outside, and right into my hands, naturally. I replied sarcastically, but immediately felt the collar of my shirt become a bit too tight. If you really had those documents, they would have let you go so easily, or they wouldn't have. Sounds logical. It suddenly appeared to me as if she felt sympathetic toward me to an extent, and was even trying to help in her own way. I'll be beyond myself when this is all over. I'd expect so. And for now, Nikolai, you better lay low. Call the school and say you're sick. Buy enough food for a week or two, stay at home, watch TV, read books. Nothing you can do if someone does come. Open the door, but remember, don't say anything you're not supposed to say, and don't do anything that might have consequences. Better yet, don't do or say anything at all. Can I at least ask who you want me to be hiding from? First and foremost, yourself. You can't just leave your life peacefully, can you? Why did you need to go to Ito's village in the night? Why indeed. Sometimes I thought it would be better if I knew nothing. The Americans need you for some reason. I don't know why, but it's clear they expect something from you. Some action. So for your own sake, it would be better not to give them a reason to do anything. Do you really think the CIA cares about human lives? Something was telling me the KGB wasn't the Salvation Army either. So let us do our job for a week or two at least. Then soup with the cat. What? Russian proverb, roughly equivalent to later alligator, using to indicate that nobody knows what the heck will happen. What? I'm glad you haven't forgotten your motherland's culture. Can I ask you two questions before you leave? Go ahead, you've earned it. Himitsu, Ito's daughter, is she somehow involved? You mean if she works for Japanese intelligence? Irina smirked. She may be carrying out some orders of his, but I can't say for sure. What about Catherine Winters? Same thing, and in any case, it's not them you should be afraid of. I understand. Well, if you do, she stood up, adjusted her skirt with a gesture that seemed absolutely childish to me, and bid me farewell. Don't worry about anything, Nikolai. The motherland is watching. That's what worries me the most. I muttered under my breath when Irina disappeared in the dense crowd of white collars hurrying to get home. What if I had actually made Himitsu into a paper tiger? Oh, Chinese term meant to describe something or someone that appears to be powerful or threatening, but is actually ineffectual, non-threatening, and are unable to withstand challenge. What exactly did Ito say? Then that his daughter was handling the task well and that she knew more about my life than I did? What if he had just asked Himitsu to tell him how I was doing now and then, while I imagined her in the role of a cold-blooded spy? Could the girl I knew my entire life commit such a betrayal? But I couldn't find the strength to talk to her openly. I had too many secrets myself. I had lied to her too many times and brought her too much pain. Would she even talk to me after what she saw yesterday? I would have never thought that such a twist would happen in my life. I would lose Himitsu but get together with Catherine again. Together again? I smirked and raised my head. The autumn night spilled myriads of star beads along the cloth of the sky. I could still feel summer's warmth in the air. The earth hadn't cooled down completely yet and was giving its heat even when the sun had already set. In just a couple of weeks, this hour would see cold like a winter like cold. I was looking into the dark blue arch of our world and imagine if not yet. A falling star crossed the sky, burning in the atmosphere, and I made a wish, may everything be well in all our lives. Often thought that by painting at yourself as an ally of justice, you just run away from any real problems. Describe a character with an actual sense of justice. Cool. Wavering your banner of good, you go headlong into your purpose, without fear or reproach. Without fear of failure, well, things didn't work out, but I did everything right. How often has the vague idea of justice been used for evil? Are there any absolute values at all? Are those that are equally good for everyone? And if yes, what are the absolute evil that opposes the absolute good? These extremes always scare me. An anthropomorphic devil with horns and hooves is laughable, but eternal bliss causes only fear, so alien is it to human nature. And if all of us are nothing more than but a short stage of evolution of the universe between the Big Bang and the new singularity, I would like to live my part of this stage as I was used to, being a human until the end. Therefore, I wish simple happiness for myself, Catherine, and Himitsu. I didn't know what would happen tomorrow or in a year, who I would be left with, or if I would be alone. Just wanted some peace for all of us. Wanted to get back to 2 years ago when life was so much simpler. When Catherine and I were together, when my parents were alive, when Himitsu was just a childhood friend. I kicked a stone under my foot, and it flew like a bat after Maradona's free kick and hit the bumper of a truck parked on the side of the road. The alarm didn't go off, or maybe the old piece of junk didn't even have one, and didn't have to run away. However, it made me come to my senses and get back to sinful Earth. The lights were on in Himitsu's house. It wasn't that late, though, so I wasn't surprised. Stopped and just stared at her windows, but didn't manage to see anything. My front door's creaking sounded like it was last every time. I wondered how much longer it would hold. The entire house appeared to be cold, decrepit, and at the same time still alive. It was like an old man who could barely move his legs but still kept the shine of youth in his eyes. My parents used to tell me that before us it housed the family of a corrupt government official. He was imprisoned and his wife and kids had to sell all their property to pay the debts, although I couldn't remember who had owned the house before them, or perhaps I never knew. When we were little, I liked to scare Himitsu by coming up with stories of seeing previous owners' ghosts in the dark. I was telling her that once an executioner and his family lived here, then one day he went mad and cut them all to pieces with his katana, and then committed harakiri. It was quite a banal story, but it was more than enough for impressionable Himitsu. She would cry and complain about me to her parents, despite the fact that in such a house there really could be ghosts. The scariest thing I ever saw were the shadows of the trees growing in the garden that as they swung in the wind, and perhaps the creaking floors, walls, and ceilings. This house was so old that almost everything here was making weird sounds. Not everyone would be like a dwelling infused with the auras of its many previous owners. This house was built in the Meiji era, as far as I knew, so it could have had many. End of a Japanese history that spanned from October 1868 to 1912. Wow. I often used to find many antique things in the attic and storerooms. Ningyo, household items, old kokeshi, paper sheets with weirdly drawn hieroglyphs that I didn't know, even a sinai that I then played for long until I broke it. A souvenir doll, no arms or legs, large head and a cylindrical body representing little girls. Shinai is a Japanese sword typically made of bamboo used for practice and competition. Weird. The world of childhood is immense. The simplest things became magical artifacts, and the smallest detail is enough for a child's imagination. However, soon my mom threw away almost all the old junk, replacing it with more functional and modern times. Comfort and functionality with a discount, without the moss-covered memories and dusty, tattered of times past. Plastic instead of wood, instead of a bookshelf, an air conditioner instead of an ogi fan. A folding fan used both for cooling oneself and for traditional dances and celebrations. Lovely. And only the kotatsu managed to survive all the house's owners, giving warmth and taking nothing in return. In my room, there used to be only bare tatamis and closets with futons. Maybe it used to be a guest room. Maybe it served to organize sleeping places for a dozen men quickly and without much hassle, the Japanese that weren't very picky. I recall Kagome saying that such a large house was too big for one person. I often thought so myself, especially during the nights. Every item has a purpose, and whatever you do with it, it will try to fulfill it. If the house was built for a big family and only big families lived here, it's natural that a lonely student would feel uncomfortable surrounded by all these empty spaces. Bedrooms without owners, a huge guest room that hadn't seen guests in ages, an abandoned guitar in dusty corridors. If I stay alive after all this, I should think about finding a more suitable place for myself. Nah, this place is great. What do you mean? This place is awesome. The 22nd. Oh. Fudge. I dreamt I was in a game where I had to develop my character. I was leveling up, investing experience points into agility and strength, receiving new skills. I wish it would work like that in real life. Once you reach a new level, old enemies are no threat to you anymore. On the other hand, that also means there are stronger monsters ahead. I was dragged out of that wonderful RPG world by a doorbell. I got up but didn't hurry to open the door. Who could it be? Maybe they just got the wrong door. Wasn't expecting anyone and doubted someone would come to my place by accident. But whoever it was, they kept ringing and clearly had no intention of leaving. Then again, no one I should have been afraid of would be ringing the bell in broad daylight. Coming! I shouted quickly, dressing up and dragging myself to the floor. Nico-kun! Himitsu was standing on the porch, dressed in her school uniform. She wore a strange facial expression, like she'd just learned she won 1 billion yen in the lottery, and then someone told her her tax was so high, she actually needed to pay more than she had won. Sheesh. Nico-kun, why did you lock the door? I have class. Bye, Angel Love. Good luck, alright? Have a good class. Bye. I wasn't expecting you. My words sounded cold, even though I didn't mean them to. I cast a glance at the clock. It was 9 and change. Why aren't you at school? Nico-kun, you aren't a teacher and can't reprimand me. I see. Are you alone? Let me stretch again. Oh, man. I gotta do stretches. Of course. Who else could? I started automatically. Yeah. She lowered her head, trying to conceal her embarrassment. Do you want to come in? She just nodded slightly in response. Yesterday I had spent a lot of time thinking of that Himitsu maybe wasn't all that guilty. Even if everything was true, wouldn't it make sense for me to try and have an honest conversation with her now? She was really bad at lying after all. She couldn't have been pretending all these years, could she? And then there was also the situation with Catherine and what Himitsu saw. A shitty situation, however you look at it. Shitty even without all this spying stuff. I hadn't had breakfast yet. Himitsu was about to get to work but immediately caught herself, and it was as if something dropped in her chest, her eyes losing all expression. Never mind though. Of course, let's eat. Breakfast is the most important meal, after all. I came to my senses. We were so used to behaving this exact way. As soon as something went totally wrong, we couldn't just immediately change our habits. Slips of tongues and omissions. If there's one thing I hated in the world, it's hypocrisy. I'm really sorry it happened like this. Things should have been different. Nico-kun, you don't need to apologize. I just thought that, after everything that you... Himitsu could barely manage to talk. It seemed like she was about to burst into tears at any moment. I took a step toward her on autopilot, but immediately froze, unable to decide on anything to do. You told me. But she had told me a lot too. And what did all that amount to in reality? My daughter is handling the mission well. Blah, 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 blah. I started to cook breakfast, tried not to look into the eyes. I don't really have much. Got some eggs left. Want me to fry them? Himitsu didn't respond and sank heavily onto a chair. Let's count that as a yes. The eggs were sizzling merrily in the pan, ignoring the tension in the air. I was constantly mixing the eggs and ended up with airy yellow lumps instead of the usual sunny side ups. That's the sort of scrambled eggs that they have in American films, if I wasn't mistaken. It wasn't the best choice. It was, not that I had anything to choose from. Sorry if it's not very good. I put the plate in front of Himitsu and sat opposite her. She picked up at a piece of it with her chopsticks and said, "The shape isn't great. Well, sorry I didn't have the room to draw a heart with sauce. Wasn't going to. This had gone too far. Look, I know how this looks from your perspective, but I'm tired of thinking it's all my fault. I love Catherine, and whatever happens between us, I don't need to justify that to you. That's not what you told me a week ago. Hey, Mafia Babe. Welcome back. You missed a lot of crazy things, Mafia Babe. I had a nightmare in the game. You should see it. It was very fun. It was very totally not scary at all. Nope. That's what you told me, Himitsu said, looking at me from under her brows. Well, man proposes. I understand, Nico-kun. It's none of my business and I shouldn't get involved. I understand, but it still hurts to see you ruin your life. Unable to understand what's really going on. I understand, but it still hurts to see you ruin your life. Unable to understand what's really going on. How was your class, by the way? Was it incredibly boring? So what's really going on? It'd be nice if you told me. I did many times. She clearly hadn't gotten my hint. Even in such a state, humiliated and insulted, Himitsu didn't look like a spy. Very boring indeed. Well, you survived it. You did it, you survived it, and now it's over. Hee. She didn't look like her father's unwilling accomplice either. I hesitated. If this is only about our relationship, what else could this be about, Nico-kun? She interrupted me, breaking into a shout. Then it has nothing to do with you. My voice didn't sound nearly as confident as I wanted. I guess it's not how I'd imagine this conversation. But on the other hand, what else could I expect from Himitsu? That she would say, live happily ever after? After everything that we survived because of her. How can you? But I love Catherine. I always loved her. I can't do anything about it. And what about her? Uh-oh. She's getting mad. Not good. Himitsu jumped off the chair, ran to me, but immediately stopped as if she'd seen a monster. She recoiled back to the garden door, opened and closed it again, walked to the kotatsu and gave me an angry look and immediately turned away. Yeah, Mafia Babe. Also, Himitsu kind of caught me and Catherine in a very weird place. So, yeah, that was something. Nico-kun, do you really think that she loves you? That she ever loved you? Because when you were together earlier, then... Himitsu choked on her sobs and broke into a run, away from me. I was sitting silently, forgetting to even breathe. The most horrible thing was that I barely felt sorry for her. That is life, such as are the social rules and norms. I couldn't be with two girls at the same time, even if I loved them both, each in their own way. I don't know, in this day and age, that's very different. Not that I like it or anything. Moreover, I didn't want that. I couldn't imagine any one of us being happy in that threesome. Both of them were too possessive. I really had been afraid of losing Himitsu more than anything in the world just a couple days ago. But at that time, I had no hope I would ever be together with Catherine again. We were together now, though. Or were we? One thing I knew for sure was that a one-night stand meant much less for Katya than it did for Himitsu. Suddenly, I felt terribly tired. Yeah, it's not good. There's a lot more not good things happening this time as well. I had seemingly slept enough, but when you're brought back from the land of fairy tales to the real world so brazenly, you're left with a sense of incompleteness. My eyes closed by themselves, my mind ready to leave my body to find itself in the realm of might and magic again. However, this time I wasn't fated to become a legendary hero. I didn't even become a simple NPC, as I saw no dreams. Still, I was awoken up by the same unconscious way as in the morning, by a nasty doorbell. At least this time they weren't ringing non-stop. I came to my senses pretty quickly. Himitsu again? Did she forget something? Not after such a fight would she need much more time to return to her senses. The clock was saying 4 in the afternoon. Uh-oh. I opened the door and saw Catherine. Still asleep? Just with a bored expression. Well, I mean, yeah, but I was, but why? Nothing. She smiled and confidently stepped inside. I moved out of her way automatically. Nothing you can do if someone does come. Open the door, but remember, don't say anything you're not supposed to say and don't do anything that might have consequences. So I opened the door. Catherine walked into the kitchen, looked around, sat on a chair, and crossed her legs, just like her mother. The thought made me feel uncomfortable. Aren't you going to offer me anything? Tea or coffee? I've been at school since early in the morning, not sacking up half the day like you. At school? She had found the time to change, though. Tea. I kept mumbling, having still not fully come to my senses. Katya took the initiative right away. We may have parted on bad terms yesterday, she said somewhat absently and went quiet, clearly waiting for my reaction. Considering the circumstances, even still, if my mom hadn't, was she really trying to apologize for her mother again? It was nice to hear that, sure, but her persistence couldn't find better use elsewhere. We both knew that Catherine wasn't responsible for Mrs. Winter's actions, whether she had known about them or not. Why weren't you at school? Doesn't look like you're sick. She smirked. Did she need to know about my talk with Irina yesterday? After all, Katya was yet to tell me anything of her on her own initiative. It was like I had to tear every single bit of information out of her with pliers. On the other hand, I could no longer trust Himitsu, and I was scared to be left alone with my problems. The only question was, did Catherine deserve my trust? I reckoned it was still too early for that. Just being lazy. Just, huh? Exactly. Okay then, is that all? I put a cup of tea in front of her. Have you just come to find out why I've been skipping classes? No. She replied slyly and took a sip. I sighed desperately and sat next to her. It's so difficult with you sometimes. I know, right? The few minutes that we spent in silence seemed to last forever. I was looking at Catherine, trying to understand what changed about her in a year and a half. Was she taller? It didn't seem so. The haircut was the same, or at least very similar to what she had back then. Figure, weight, cup size? I couldn't tell. It was difficult to spot any major difference at first glance. This happens too. The person looks the same, but once you get to talk to them, it's like there's someone else. It was also the possible that I'd simply never known the real her. In any case, I'm grateful you're here. How could I? Relationships are made up of these little things. Relationships? I scoffed, stood up, walked around the kitchen. Katya, we've already talked about this. Not Romeo and Juliet, I know, but it seemed like she has been preparing for a serious conversation, but only came up with that one line. You know, you've been acting weird since we slept together. Got what you wanted, and now all that love is talk is over with. Yeah, that was the position we were in, Mafia Babe. She caught us, doing this. So, that's cool. Not at all. Although, that's exactly how it looked. So you want us to be together again? Don't you? Maybe there's something stopping you. Himitsu, for example? Yeah, very big oof that was. No, she and I. It became hard for me to speak, like I was lying in confession, and the priest and all the parishioners, and most importantly, God himself knew. I lowered my head. She and I are, well, we kind of had a fight. Oh! Catherine raised her eyebrows. Could it have been on my account? No. She definitely wasn't the reason, in my view. Why then? I didn't know how to respond and couldn't come up with a remotely good lie. Perhaps some of the paths of even the closest people diverge. You can feel this pseudo-philosophical bullshit to her, not me. Okay, fine, it's because of you. Are you happy now? It was partially the truth. Yes, quite. Oh? She smiled, stood up, and came closer to me. I'm happy you made the right choice. I'm just not used to being in either-or situation. Catherine was standing so close, I had no idea what she wanted from me. That again? Such a beanpole, but sometimes you act like a complete child. She left and took me by the hand. The right choice deserved a proper reward. Reward, huh? BRB, alrighty. Once again I felt embarrassed like Poruchik Revsky telling a servant about a cornet who threw up on his uniform at a recent ball. Fictional character and Russian jokes. Officer, straightforward, sophisticated, innocently rude military type whose rank and standing nevertheless gained him entrance into high society. Interesting. I can imagine what you're thinking, but I meant something very different. I wasn't really thinking anything. Just wanted to go somewhere and spend some time together, talk about our lives. Catherine let go of my hand and turned away. Yeah, of course. I kept mumbling, but immediately remembered Irina's words. Well, screw her. A date with Catherine. Wasn't that the thing I've been dreaming about for the last year and a half? Why would anyone need a life spent within four walls? I don't bite, you know. Seemed like she was tired of my indecisiveness. It's just a bit sudden. I'm sure you prepared in advance, but I've been put on the spot. On the spot. She mocked me. Where do you want to go? Somewhere people usually go for a date. Where would you go? Where did you go with Himitsu? We didn't. I cleared my throat. Amusement park? How do you like the idea? You're back? Welcome back! What's up? Brilliant. Let's go. Why was it so much easier for me to believe we had sex a couple of days ago? That's what she caught us doing, I think. That's cool, huh? That we were going on a full-fledged date. We're back at the amusement park! Woo! Why did I choose it at all? The amusement park certainly wasn't as crowded on a weekday as it was on the weekends. Sometimes it seems to me as if the massive metal constructions standing idly here were like dinosaur skeletons in a museum. Just as huge and grand, they had lost their might and served only as a memory of an era long past for mildly curious tourists who dropped by the museum only because it was mentioned as in their guidebook. Lost in your philosophical problems again? Hey Zero, welcome back. Play. You have earned a chance to play, the shooting game right here. Get your gun and fire away at the things. How you doing today, Zero? What's up? Not philosophical ones, do you like it here? Yeah, why not? Amusement parks are about the same everywhere. You just haven't been to the USSR yet. Don't they have anything like this there? Of course they do. I caught myself. I don't know, I don't remember. I see. We were walking around the park, not going on any rides, not even visiting the haunted house. Just observing others having fun. If I was alone, I'd have been fine with that. But what about Catherine? Although the entire time we were there, she wouldn't stop smiling. So you're actually enjoying this, even though we're not doing anything. Are you unhappy about something? No, everything's great. That's what I think too. You've never been a fan of active recreation. What's active about pointless adrenaline spikes? I agree, except we stopped by the Ferris wheel. Want to go for a ride? Yes, she replied wistfully. Now we're on the Ferris wheel thing, woo! We had to stand in a queue of constant clamoring children, but finally found ourselves alone in a rather spacious cabin. I wish I could go to the very top where no one can reach you and stay there forever. Is it your turn to philosophize now? That was just a dream. Katya looked sad and wasn't even looking out the cabin windows. Wasn't looking at the world from a bird's eye view the entire point of this wheel. Little people were swarming on the ground. Tiny children were carelessly chasing each other across the square, and a small janitor was unhurriedly sweeping the street, collecting wrappers, broken balloons, candy floss sticks, and other waste products of human happiness into one pile. The small people on the roller coasters were shouting just like the big ones. Do you know that those things are called American mountains in Russia? Really? And why is that? Catherine smiled, but it looked forced. I don't even know, to be honest. I guess because they go up and down, rising and falling. I think that sounds like the historical cycles of every country. Maybe. I could tell Catherine was thinking seriously about something. On the ground, among other people, she probably managed to forget about it for a time. But here, where only birds and airplanes were close to the sky, where she was left alone with me. If you want to talk about something, if only I knew what to say to you and how to say it. Sometimes I try to look so mature and pretend that I understand it at all. Katya, if you don't tell me, I can't. I wanted to say I can't help you, but how can I help in this situation? You're back. Welcome back, Mafia babe. Good to see ya. Don't be sorry, my friend. You're all good. Having a mother like hers was itself a serious challenge, not even mentioning her real job. There are things I haven't told you about. Couldn't tell you, and I still can't. Don't worry, they aren't related to my mom or your parents. She was visibly forcing herself to speak, barely finding the words, about things that happened long ago but still influenced my life. I was silent, and Catherine waited for a while between each sentence. Sometimes something happens by itself, and then you don't want everything to go wrong, and you do what you think is best, but then you regret what you've done. Was she talking about our breakup? Was she regretting that? Emotions overwhelm me. It's long in the past, don't blame yourself. Time heals all. I was blurting out pointless cliches. I want to say that happiness can follow after tragedy. Sometimes you need to lose something to get something greater. Lose! Catherine repeated after me in a voice devoid of all emotion, the voice of a subway announcer. I'm sure we'll be fine. Of course, I should have sat next to her, hugged and kissed her, held her tightly, and not let her go until the Ferris wheel brought us away into the starry night. However, at that moment, I felt that Catherine was a world away from me, distant and lonely on her empty planet on the other end of the universe, where there are no suns and stars, where matter froze and the endless process of creation stopped forever. And right now, I could not reach her. The wheel finished its rotation and stopped. Helped Catherine out of the cabin. Cool, I liked it. She smiled as if there hadn't been that chasm between us a moment ago. Where next? Want to grab a bite? Great idea. I immediately noticed a kiosk selling hot dogs. That's very American, don't you think? We ate a hot dog each resting on a bench. Speaking of the US, how did it feel to be there after Japan? The same distant expressive from the other side of the universe appeared in Catherine's face. But only for a second. If you don't want to talk about it, no, it's okay. Honestly, things weren't the way I would have wanted there either. I didn't go to school right away because, she faltered, because we had to move often, and Mom said it wouldn't be convenient. Then I had to catch up so I wouldn't have to repeat the year. I see. One way or another, everything we talked about led to Catherine back to unpleasant memories. Well, I have absolutely nothing to brag about, except that I didn't have to repeat the year, I guess? Was there a chance you would? Of course, the goof-off enterprise has its risks, but don't underestimate my power level. I said in the voice of an anime villain. Catherine laughed and the air seemed to grow less tense. Oh right, here's an important one. You missed so many great anime. I mean, I'm no Kyosuke, but I can always recognize a masterpiece when I see one. We talked all the way to evening, and a guard even had to ask us to leave because the park was closing. That's embarrassing. I didn't want this day to end. I was wandering the streets, not following a particular direction, but just walking forward, drowning in the devilish revelry of Tokyo's myriad nightlights. Catherine was walking next to me, and somehow her pace was quiet and careful, as if she didn't want to distract me from something important. It's already late, I guess. I finally came to my senses, and I realized that we were next to her home. Thank you for today. Really needed a change of scenery. Me too. We stopped right in the middle of the street, but not in a very convenient spot. We often had to dodge annoyed people, some even muttering insults at us. Well then, to be honest, I don't want to go home so early. Early? What do you want to do then? Let's go to your place. To my place. I mean, I don't mind. Ew. What's ew? What happened? What did I do this time? Catherine was unpredictable as usual. Not that I wasn't happy about the opportunity to spend the night together, but what would stop her from drastically changing her mind on the way there? If you want, don't make that face. She suddenly laughed. What face? Like I'm giving you a parking ticket. I don't even have a license, and I do now, Katya said proudly. How come? You can get a driving license at 16 in the US. And congrats, I guess. To be frank, I even felt a bit envious. I couldn't say I was generally prone to envy. Other people's success and welfare only interested me as a matter of fact. Maybe the reason that I was barely interested in anybody's life except my own. What did I care for others' billions? Would I get a single yen of that? That's why I didn't really know how I felt. As if Catherine and I were competing at something and I had hit the finish line second. That didn't sound genuine. Maybe. Let's go then. I just wanted to sweep away the awkward moment as soon as possible. I was throwing careful glances at Himitsu's house. Old habits die terribly hard. You'd think after everything that happened, but no, I was still afraid of her judgment. I didn't know if Catherine paid attention to that. Even if she noticed, she didn't show it. I opened the door and entered the house, took my shoes off, all that, not even daring to look back. I felt Katya's eyes on my back, but I couldn't imagine what she was feeling. Maybe she was smiling candidly or looking at me with that same expression of cold indifference. I'll make some tea. I blurted out and rushed into the kitchen. My heart was beating so fast that it seemed like it was about to jump out of my chest and go on to live a life of its own. A few deep breaths. Alright, why was I so worried about now of all times? Maybe because everything would finally change after this night? Catherine stopped in the doorway as if hesitating. Stretch! Oh my gosh! I met her eyes and could not tear myself away, drowning in their bottomless depths and dissolving in the languid anticipation I could read in them. My feet took a few steps forward by themselves, then a few more. It felt like as if I was flying toward Katya, and then we were standing next to each other and our lips were about to meet. Catherine softly pushed me away and moved back slightly. Don't, she whispered quietly. Sorry, I thought that. I shouldn't have come. Something like this was exactly what I had been afraid to hear. So I ruined everything again, huh? No, you didn't do anything wrong. I just thought that, well, in this situation, I should have just kept quiet. What else was there to say? Catherine stepped away from me and smiled. You would have forgiven me, and you would have forgiven me anything? I didn't mean anything like that. I frowned, and to be fair, she was hinting at that too boldly. How am I supposed to guess whether she wanted it or not? Did I have to ask for written permission every time? I should probably go home. Weirdly, she hasn't felt that way when we were standing basically at her doorstep. As you wish. Will you come to school tomorrow? Irina advised against that. No, tomorrow. I was too tired after today to come up with a believable lie. I won't. Okay then, I'll have a reason to visit you. She told me playfully and bid farewell. What the hell was that? The teapot, somewhat cooled by now, was standing on the stove. I was too lazy to boil the water again and didn't want to drink tea at night. Turned off the lights and went to bed. Even though my strange day hadn't finished the way I wanted, Catherine and I seemed to have grown a bit closer. I tossed from side to side for a while, but sleep wouldn't come. In the darkness, it seemed as if beyond the walls of my home, Tokyo was teeming with nightlife. People were dancing in clubs, musicians were playing rock and roll. Alcohol was flowing like a river, and neon lights had replaced the stars. I imagined myself flying down the streets into a bar, landing at a table with strangers and talking with them loudly. And then all the sounds mixed into one unintelligible rumble. The lights flashed by like lanterns, and of all colors in the underground tunnel. I stored up and froze among the cold lights of the stars, high above the clouds. But I didn't feel lonely there. My feelings seemed to have acquired a life of their own. My love for Catherine materialized as something like an ethereal angel, and a new sun lit up next to it, and I knew it was Himitsu. These images surrounded me, and I was dissolving in them, and they dissolved in me. Something had to come out of this symbiosis. But unfortunately, the night would pass, and the new day would come, and this feeling would be forgotten like another weird dream. Homework isn't making sense? Oh no. What kind of homework do you have? I'll ask the question, I don't know if you heard me or not. Each time I tried to hold that moment of enlightenment, and each time I was defeated by the reality that the human nature. Morning! It's the next day! In my dream I was having... It was long and thorough... Okay, I don't want to hear that. I woke up extremely aroused. My bedsheets and pillow were damp with sweat. We had an interest in Mitsu's father, Catherine's mother, Irina. All those events played by like a whirlwind, leaving me amongst the ruins of my life. What could still be saved, and what had been destroyed completely? Even with the disaster consequences of the forces of nature, I now had a moment of peace, a weird calm about after the storm, where you haven't realized it's all over. You see the storm disappearing into the distance and turn around, seeing the evening sky touched by blue twilight, and only the uprooted trees remind you of nature's primal fury. But the view seemed natural, as if it were always like this, as if it was the way it had to be. I was lying in bed and thinking whether to even make the effort to get up, to live through another pointless day. Irina had advised me to stay home, and I couldn't just well stay home positioned horizontally. Yesterday, Catherine, I still couldn't understand her. Step forward, then 2 steps back, running endlessly in place. Somebody quietly opened the front door. I'd forgotten to lock it yesterday, hadn't I? Although when you know a person your entire life, you learn to recognize their movements by ear. Only Himitsu opened the door like this. You quickly jumped up from the bed and got dressed. We entered the kitchen at the same moment. "Nico-kun, did you just get up?" Something like that. I looked at the clock. It was still pretty early. "Are you going to school?" "Didn't plan to." Her face seemed to lose all the color of life. Mitsu looked, maybe not as much outwardly, but felt 10 years older than usual. She only needed a gray suit to complete the picture. "Then I probably came here for nothing." "I don't even know why." Her lips suddenly curled into a creepy smile. "I don't know why I came." "It was like I was supposed to. Does it happen to you? You're doing something and don't really know why? Like a machine?" I didn't know how to respond. It was difficult for me to be around Himitsu. After I learned the truth about her father after the scene yesterday, these days it seems to me that for the longest time I've been doing silly things that nobody really needs, like a stove that's been replaced with a new model and just thrown away since it's become useless. Or like a cleaning lady someone kicked out as soon as they brought the washing machine they'd wanted for so long. "Nico-kun, why? It's not fair." She wasn't crying, as if all of her tears had dried up long ago. She wasn't even addressing me specifically, directing her pain at an invisible someone. "Don't you feel sorry for me?" Salting the wound. "Do I deserve to be treated like this? Do I deserve to be spied on?" "What? That's what you call all I've done for you?" "Yeah, you and your dad have done so much for me and my family the last 10 years. "Oh, Nico-kun." "Oh, she's Syed." Himitsu whispered in a stranger's voice and lowered her head. "I heard your father talking on the phone about you handling the mission well." "Nico-kun." "And how he's been spying on the Anokins for a long time. Everything. I know everything now." "Nico-kun, you don't understand at all," she said in the same quiet voice. Dad just wants to protect you. Us." "And you have been helping him. How much have you told him?" "Did everything you heard here in the evenings end up in reports to Japanese intelligence the next morning?" "Nico-kun." "Enough. I don't want to see you in this house anymore. I don't want to know you. I don't want to be surveyed. If those 10 damn years, Sunshine, if these 10 years were a lie, then I was losing my breath and couldn't find the right words. It's hard to believe I could be so wrong about someone. You've been lying to me this entire time. Oh boy. What if I have?" She suddenly shouted, throwing her head up, a pointless fury flashing in her eyes. "What are you going to do about it? Do you think you can take on even more painful revenge on me?" "Revenge? Who's talking about revenge?" What is this then, Nico-kun? Do you really think I was telling Dad about your life? What we talked about, and even if I did, do you think I did it to hurt you? Do you think I'm capable of that?" "I don't know what you're capable of anymore." I mumbled and turned away. Of course, it was hard to believe that Himitsu had been lying to me in cold blood all these years. But now she wasn't even denying it. What was this all for, then? "Because I want to protect you." "From who? Myself? If I need to. Are kindness and care alone enough to be loved?" Himitsu believed so. She believed that feelings appear by themselves as a consequence just because you've shown love to another person for years. But the heart wants what it wants. I'm sorry, but I don't love you. I don't know what reasons you had to do what you did. I don't know if you really were spying on me my entire life. But I know one thing. I love Catherine, and I can't lose her because of you. Sunshine. I started with a habit, but stopped myself. Himitsu. I never intended to make a choice between you and her. Not like this. But don't try to blackmail me. I'm grateful for everything you've done for me, but that can't replace my true feelings. I can't mechanically reciprocate your love just because the amount of good you've done by me has grown large enough. This isn't an RPG. You don't get a new ability just because you've gained enough XP. So you're saying that, Nico-kun? Her pupils shrunk into 2 dots burning with hatred. You're saying that you're going to love this birch after all she's done to you? I don't think we should continue this conversation. Have it your way. Himitsu replied as if answering a blackboard, and left. At least she wasn't trying to deny it, like, "Nico-kun, how could you think that? I would never." Whether or not she admitted her guilt was another matter. You can always acknowledge your guilt and still believe that you're not really guilty. I definitely could. Maybe I shouldn't have told her everything I knew. Revealed the last aces up my sleeve. But how much longer could I have tolerated her tricks? And imagine, Even after everything that happened, she still believed that she was right. Somebody rang the doorbell. I doubted Himitsu had forgotten something.
It's me, I forgot something.
Luckily, it was Catherine, not her. You sure know how to choose the right moment. She was wearing casual clothes, not her school uniform. Skipping class? Can I come in? I don't want Himitsu to see me. We walked into the kitchen. So you were watching the house. You could say that. Katya smiled and looked around warily. Don't worry, I'm not hiding her under the bed. Good to hear. It was just a joke. No, really, I'm glad you realize what she's like. I had help. I had told Himitsu everything, so what was the point of hiding it from Katya? Her father works for Japanese intelligence, and Himitsu may be helping him spy on me. Catherine didn't look particularly surprised. You knew? Wait, don't start accusing me of every mortal sin again. Imagine how you would have reacted a couple days ago if I said you're precious, if Himitsu was spying on you. There was a lot of truth to her words. What else haven't you told me? Nick, that's all, I swear, that's all I know. Catherine pleaded. I just couldn't find the courage. At worst, you would have stopped talking to me for good. I'm glad you value talking to me so highly. She made a displeased grimace. How long have you known? Just a couple of days, if that. Interesting that your mom told you everything at such, so to speak, proper moment. What makes it proper? Well, I don't even know. I drawled meaningfully, although I really didn't know. One thing was obvious. Mrs. Winters wasn't trying to ruin my relationship with her daughter. By telling her about Himitsu, she was theoretically even strengthening it. I wondered if Catherine realized as much. What was the logic behind her mother's actions? I just can't figure out one thing. Only one? I can't figure out I just can't figure out what your mother is trying to achieve, in general. Not only one. You won't. I haven't managed to in 18 years. No, that's not what I meant. I mean, what does she need from me? Just look at the situation from my perspective. First I get kidnapped and interrogated, then we have a nice chat at your place. And remember, she doesn't even demand anything from me. Nothing in particular. I mean, beyond some broad terms under different circumstances, I would have thought she was worried about me. I doubt Mom actually worries about anything but her work, Catherine said with a sad smirk. She was sincere, and there wasn't a shadow of falsehood on her face, and her voice sounded confident and even passionate. If I couldn't trust her now, what point was there to living at all? You know, I haven't told you everything. Catherine raised her eyebrows and looked at me puzzled. Your mother and Japanese intelligence aren't the only ones interested in me. The KGB has been involved too. I've had a few quite not pleasant interactions with them. Everyone needs some information from me, my father's documents, as if I was his assistant. It's hard to be the child of important parents. She smiled, and there wasn't so much understanding and melancholy in that smile that I felt a shiver of tenderness run down my spine. Katya, But Catherine immediately stepped back. It was quite awkward yesterday, again. Want to take a walk if you have no other plans? Love to hear more about the KGB. I bet your mom would love to hear about them too. No doubt. Sometime later, we found ourselves in the park gate. Were you heading here on purpose? Maybe. She replied wistfully. My mom can be many things, heartless or even cruel, but at least she is painfully consistent in her works and actions. Which means she's actually confident that you know or have something that she needs. Well, that's not reassuring. But it also proves that she sees no threat to your life at the moment. Why? Because otherwise she would have forbade me from meeting with you. But that didn't quite work with what Catherine had told me before. Maybe she just wanted to believe that her mother had put her safety first. Good if that was the case, but I had my reasons to doubt it. I'm surprised you're reacting to this stuff so calmly. I got used to it. But you didn't used to know your mother works for the CIA. I didn't, but I could guess that she wasn't telling me everything. I can't even imagine how. Our gazebo appeared in sight. We exchanged looks and immediately grew embarrassed, looking away simultaneously. The park seemed to have changed a lot in just a week, or maybe it felt that way because I was with Catherine and not Himitsu. The world around us froze. There wasn't a single blow or rustle. Even the rare clouds passing in the sky were doing so carefully, as if apologizing for disturbing someone's peace. When we walked up onto the bridge, I looked down and saw my reflection as if in a mirror. It was clear, untouched by ripples of water or the glare of the sun. Catherine's face appeared next to mine, focused and pensive. I guess this park is one of the few places I really missed. Almost. Never visited since. Must have been hard for you, huh? These places, they bring back so many memories. I was looking into Catherine's beautiful face and couldn't see even a trace of sarcasm. This gazebo and these benches, they really were dragging me into the whirlpool of memories. The end? My life had turned into a fairy tale. A permanent girlfriend, regular sticks in love. But why in that order? I didn't know what was wrong in our relationship, but at some point I was clearly starting to feel bored. Day passed after day, and even the physical intimacy, although it still brought pleasure, became routine. We were at school together, we walked home together, spent some time into the night, and sometimes spent nights together, just to go to school together the next morning and repeat the same daily ritual, necessary to confirm our status of being in a relationship. After a while, even Kioski stopped reacting as intensely, although Catherine never gave much of a reason in the first place. Almost never. As for me, our relationship became something like food, sleep, or even air. Never think of the importance of these things until they're taken away. Or like health. A healthy person takes the ability to run a few kilometers or do 20 push-ups for granted, or just the ability to walk down a street at a reasonable speed. At the same time, a disabled person watches them and envies the fact that they have both legs and both arms. I didn't know how other people approach relationships. Books say they must have worked on daily and hourly. Then nothing came without effort. Maybe the whole idea is that some kind of living conscious being, not a soulless reward for finishing a quest rescuing the princess. In games you get a kiss in the credits, accompanied by pleasant music, but nobody tells you what happens next. They lived happily ever after. How long does this ever after last? How much time do you need for that beloved person to turn into a simple acquaintance? An acquaintance you would just have to talk to more than others, and also sleep with, take care of the house with, and so on and so forth. Does it happen naturally or simply because one of the two steps working on their relationship? This approach always rubbed me the wrong way. The perception of something highly spiritual is a line in a CV. You can spend months in a gym and get some muscles, dedicate your entire life to studying and become smarter, even go to the army and pull off some military feat. But to win the love of the girl you're ready to do anything for, that is worth more than just sacrificing your life. To unite two lives as one to fulfill a prophecy made in heaven. Isn't it alone enough to be together forever and ever? Or do you need to pay attention to the little things? You're back. You finished your homework. What was confusing about it before? What wasn't making sense? Was it
Cringe? Cringy homework?
Catherine did. Our first year in high school was coming to its end. Not that I got tired or bored of her, but I definitely missed that overwhelming emotion I felt at the start of our relationship, that infatuation and unrestrained desire. We were sitting in the gazebo where Catherine liked to hide from the rest of the world. Sometimes it seemed to me that she was hiding us than herself. But I was worried as little about it as about the question of what I should eat for dinner that night. It was a little frustrating, but whatever. It couldn't be that I had nothing to eat for dinner. Kaya was looking at the water surface with a bored look. So then, I was telling her something about school, but she seemed to show so little interest it would have been stupid to continue. If you don't want to listen, you should have just told me. What am I laying myself out for? If I did, would it change anything? Not a single muscle twitched on her beautiful face. Do we come here every day just to sit and say nothing? I got wound up. If you don't like the topic, let's talk about something else. I'm fine with silence. At that moment, Catherine seemed cold and distant as the first day we met. How long ago had she become like this again? I wondered. What if I just hadn't noticed, drowning in my illusions of all victorious love? I can't understand what I'm doing wrong if you don't tell me. You're not doing anything wrong. She waved her hand absently and tried to smile. Would you notice if I disappeared tomorrow? The weak smile vanished, hidden by a serious expression of her focused eyes. What are you talking about? Something happened? I immediately grew anxious. Hang on, let me check something real quick. Okay. All appears good. I immediately grew anxious. What do you think? I don't know. You always say nothing and never answer my questions. Are you still here, Mafia Bay, by the way? I don't know if you heard me or not. Come on, what a tragedy. She suddenly laughed. You should have seen your face. It's like someone really told you I died. You know what? Those jokes of yours. Would you really be upset? Katya whispered and huddled up to me. I was surprised and didn't react right away. When I hugged Catherine, she was trembling. Hey, what happened? Do you ever feel like today's the last day of your life? Nope, never. Oh, you didn't? Okay. But yeah, what was weird with your homework? What was the weird thing? If I did it, would I be even confused? Nope, never, same as any normal person. Normal person. Catherine smirked sadly. I couldn't get rid of this feeling that she desperately wanted to tell me something, but was afraid or just couldn't find the right words. I really wanted to know what it was, but all my questions were shattered against the cold wall of indifference. The English was not making sense. Ah, great. Gotta love that, right? Well, you did it, and that's all that matters, am I right? Or rather, the feeling that I could read in her eyes and all her gestures and words, as if she was treating me with silent reproach. And just as I'd begun to forget about and live normally, her unspoken rebukes rained down on me again. You had to pick the right pronouns about I kept getting them wrong. Oh. Just choose any of them. Just make up some while you're at it. Ha 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 ha. Katya, please, don't scare me like that. You can't keep it all inside. It's bad for your health. Hey, Kato Kyle. How you doing today? What's up? So you want me to tell you everything? Like Himitsu? What does Himitsu have to do with anything? She will stay with you when I'm not around anymore. Here you go again. Do you have terminal cancer or something? That's a twist. Sarcasm doesn't suit you. Even if it suits you, it doesn't mean that you should always, especially with people close to you. Did you need me yesterday? Yeah, probably. Just assume that I'm gonna need you for every single Chrono Cross stream. I had to look up things like 90% of the time. It was pain. Pain, pain, and more pain. But, I'm glad you're doing good. Catherine pressed herself even closer to me. I could feel that something was happening, and somewhere deep inside I understood that a lot of things would change in our life soon. It just could not change. However, deep in the embrace of the girl I loved, I quickly forgot about all my worries and anxiety. That night was our last moment of intimacy, and how I could not have guessed from her coldness and distance she would leave me forever the next morning. Aww. Are you crying? Huh? I came back from the past and looked at Catherine, as if I'd just woken up. Almost 2 years had passed, but she didn't change a bit. Ultima, guys. What's up? What happened? Don't worry if you'll be in pain with Kingdom Hearts Secret Bosses on Proud Mode. Oh, God. I wish you luck, Kato Kyle. That's gonna be rough. Have you watched The Good Doctor? Someone. Is it bad that I've never heard of The Good Doctor before? Is that bad? 2 years have passed. Only in her eyes could I see new hardness, an echo of the calculating cruelty of Mrs. Winters. I wiped my eyes, but they were dry. Sadly, no. Aw, nope. No! What is it? Katya laughed. You had such a good look, I couldn't resist. You can't talk about it. Aw, sorry, Eliza. Yeah, I've never heard of it before. The Good Doctor. Who would be the Good Doctor? Doctor Strange, maybe? You had such a look, I couldn't resist. Can I count on that as sarcasm? The most cynical kind. Oh. I didn't let her finish, grabbed her by the shoulders, and kissed her. Catherine's eyes opened wide in surprise were looking right into my soul. I could see a mix of surprise, some annoyance, and confusion. But then Katya relaxed a bit. Cute wrinkles appeared in the corners of her eyes, and she responded to the kiss. Perhaps there was less intimacy and passion to it than there could have been, and more resembled the third kiss of a Japanese student just starting to date. I know, very cute. Even if Catherine is kinda crazy. But to me, it meant more than sex we had a couple days ago. It was our first real kiss after our time apart. It is weird and listen to a song called Hardstyle Fish like 50 times. What's that song about? I've never heard of it, so I can't say if it's weird or not. A kiss that was not an addition to physical lust, but one filled with pure love. Finally, I drew myself away from Catherine. I was just remembering the last time we were sitting in this gazebo. Well, back then. She still looked a bit embarrassed. You have a good memory. Sometimes I wish it was worse. It's made from a Russian satire band called Little Big. Ah, cool. I'll have to listen to it and see if it actually sounds good. If it sounds good, then no, it's fine. What was I doing then?
Nothing, just sitting here.
What were we talking about?
About how we might not see each other anymore.
Is that so? Catherine first lowered her eyes as if apologizing, then looked at the pond again. Stretch. Looked at the pond again. Did you already know back then that you were about to leave? She didn't reply right away. I guess I did. I immediately felt the urge to bombard her with questions. How, why, what for? Wanted to say so much. Make her understand what I was feeling. Thoughts were running into each other in my head, creating an ugly crowd. Each of them was claiming its right to be expressed before the others, but I remained silent, and in the end they became a swarm of senseless words. Each song has a different style. This one is like 90s techno. That's pretty cool. Different song variations for the band. Very cool. You knew, waited, love, why, how could you just say we would? All of this didn't matter anymore. Katya, I still love you, and I always have. If that's how everything turned out back then, I'm sure you had your reasons. If you don't want to tell me, I'm not going to insist. Nick, I thought you were boring, so I left. She livened up and even seemed to jump up a bit, turning her head to me abruptly, her beautiful long hair going all over the place. For a moment, a hope appeared in her eyes, but immediately died down. Catherine's expression grew grim again, and she continued in a calmer tone. You're not good now. How come? What's up? You would never forgive me if you knew the whole truth. I really know nothing, but I have nothing to forgive you for. I took her hand. Need therapy and a lot of chocolate and ice cream. What's going on? Besides, I only bring you problems. My mom... Quiet! I put my finger into my lips and then quickly look around. What is it? Catherine looked alert. Nothing. I just lost my Katya somewhere. She doesn't normally act like this. How does she act? At the very least, she doesn't apologize all the time. I couldn't help but notice the change in Catherine's behavior. In the beginning, she thought even talking to me was below her. What had affected her so much? Is it about your mother? If so, I don't care. You can't choose your parents. Nice words. At least so long as everything goes relatively fine. And what if it doesn't? If she... Need a blanket too. Oh dear. I don't know what I can do to help with that, sadly. Isn't chocolate ice cream fill all the boxes other than the blanket? Maybe. Could. You love me. I love you. What's next? We can't forget about others and ignore what's happening around us. Then let's run away. Run away? She laughed, and there was a contempt in that laughter. Where and how? It all only sounds good in dreams. Sweet and romantic, I agree, but it has very little to do with reality. I'm scared for you, for us. I'm scared that you might get hurt because of me. So that's what it is. Is that why you were trying to push me away? No. She quickly looked up as if caught lying. Not just that, it's because I'm guilty. But I was already wound up and didn't let her finish. Okay, but do you think to ask me whether I need to be protected? You're going to save a village from cholera by drying up its river? Your metaphors again. I just want to say that you can't sacrifice something important to save something that seems necessary. Why would I need a life like that? A life without you? Hey Nebo, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see ya. It's gonna be 9 p.m. for you also. Oh my gosh. Time zones, am I right, Nebo? Especially now when I was saying it all in one breath. But looking at the Catherine's changing face, I finally grew embarrassed. Now she looked just like a girl who had been confessed to for the first time in her life. It's true. Everything I say and everything I feel. It may sound naive, stupid, and childish. Whatever. I don't care. After all, who has the right to judge me if I swore to love, wait, and believe? And I've always wanted to only be with you, even if I didn't realize it before. It wasn't that long. It was at least 5 years since I last saw you, Nebo. 5 whole years. Maybe even 20 years, if you think about it. I might be wrong about that. Is it a crime to love one person and love her until the end, no matter what? Catherine was listening to me silently, that surprise on her face slowly giving away to happiness. I know, right? Can you believe it? 20 years have passed. Oh, so fast. You were such a child. She finally laughed and jumped to her feet. Well, since you decided it yourself, this time you will have to take full responsibility. Aye, ma'am. Except I had no idea what to do next and how to stay alive. Well, maybe with a bit of your help. Sure, no getting around that. You're too good at sweet-talking women, both now and then. I'm not doing it on purpose. Doesn't matter. I, on the other hand, if I didn't want to hear it, then there wouldn't be any point in you talking. So? I was afraid to ask her straight. So that's enough talking about this for today. Let's look to your place. Let's go to your place. I'll cook something. We'll eat and watch TV. I want something simple, a break from all this trouble. Yeah, sure. I felt unprecedented elation. We were walking through the park and Catherine took me by the hand. On her own accord, she was smiling. Eee. You had a horrible sleep today? Oh no, how come? What happened? You don't usually feel the loss of something immaterial immediately. It's easy to notice the disappearance of your wallet, keys, umbrella, or your life savings if they've been eaten up by inflation. It's much harder to catch the moment when love goes away. You live together for a dozen years, raise kids, and neither of you wakes up in the morning with the strong feeling of not loving the other person anymore. Only 3 hours? Yeah, that's not enough. Need at least 6 hours a night, Nebo. Wonder what happened. Maybe if you took sleeping medication or, watch something while trying to sleep. Yeah, hope you get better sleep, tonight. You will. I know you will. The understanding comes accidentally when you're cutting vegetables in the garden, checking your car engine, or reading a book. You turn another page, and a simple and mundane thought appears in your head. The love is gone. Its flowers withered, and even the garden is old and full of weeds. But don't we gain new feelings the same way? Of course, love at first sight also exists, but that wasn't my case. I wasn't holding Catherine's hand in mine, trying not to squeeze it too tightly, but still afraid to let go. Could I think that we loved each other again? I guess I never stopped loving her, but what if Catherine herself, what did she think? We were taking the long way as if trying to stay in public a bit longer, and before Katya used to avoid showing affection openly now. But night was descending on Tokyo, and walking down the empty streets in darkness would be a stupid idea. Stupid! We finally arrived home, where on the porch, Himitsu was waiting for us. Uh-oh. Catherine immediately let go of my hand. I see you two were on a date. Why were, though? Maybe there's still more to come. The nights are getting longer. More time for... Bad thoughts? Aw. Try not to have those thoughts. Think about games and stuff. The future of gaming. What do you need? I interrupted her coldly. Just wanted to congratulate you like a good neighbor, Nico-kun, since we aren't friends anymore. But you aren't about to move anywhere, so we're still neighbors. What exactly did you want to congratulate him for? Himitsu glared, but didn't respond to her, continuing to talk to me. Why move anywhere at all? You've got a good spacious house here, just the right fit for a big family. Why, when can I congratulate the two of you on a little bundle of joy? I felt Catherine recoil as I turned my head and she shrank herself as if from the cold. Depression that's making you not sleep? I don't know what's going on, and I can't talk about it. I can't help right now. When I'm playing a game that I can talk to you properly and give you the honor that you deserve, I can definitely talk with you a bit better. If you want to message me on Discord, you can if you want to as well. But it'll get better. Whatever's going on, it'll always get better. You know, would you rather not talk about it? I gotcha. Just hang in there, my friend. Hang in there and enjoy video games the best you can. And don't even argue. I want to be the godmother. Himitsu laughed, and the laughter that seemed to resonate within me was a dull vibration, as if someone was punching my chest. Oh my gosh. Mafia babe, look at this face. What happened to Himitsu? A real pity that the first one didn't work out. She suddenly changed her tone to pretend condolences. Enough! Catherine exploded next to me. Everything has a limit. I understand if you wanted revenge, but what would it get to you in the end? Have you thought about Nick? Oh, revenge? What a harsh word, and such an important one, too. No, why would I want revenge? Nico-kun let me know very clearly this morning that I'm nobody to him. I just want to tell the truth, so that both of you can go forth hand in hand, not hiding anything from each other. Quiet. Shut up. Nick, don't listen to her. Let's go. Catherine completely lost control of herself, grabbed me by the hand, and tried to pull me away. I didn't move a bit. My intuition told me that Himitsu wasn't just trying to make me angry, but actually had something important to say. Nick, please, Catherine begged. Her tearful eyes were filled with a plea so strong I even hesitated for a moment. Was it really so important to hear what Himitsu had to say? So before you two leave, I'm sure Catherine hasn't told you that she's been pregnant once already. Katya's eyes grew weak and hung limply in mine. She lowered her head and seemed to wilt. Oh, the child was yours, of course. I'm not about to accuse her of something not true. Except... Himitsu's face distorted into an expression that all at once was a mix of fury, hatred, joy, and the spicy aftertaste of revenge, taking that being's no relief. Except why don't I see him with you now? She looked at Catherine for the first time. Did you leave him in the U.S., or... Oh, I'm obviously sticking my nose into other people's business, perhaps precisely because it's none of my business anymore. She left and stood up from the porch. I think you two have something to discuss. Himitsu walked by, and it felt as if a wave of cold air surrounded her. I couldn't believe that was the same girl from the house across the road I've known my entire life. Catherine remained quiet. I could feel her presence. I couldn't feel her presence at all, as if it were a mannequin next to me. That's some bullshit, she came up with. I forced out, trying to turn it all into a joke. Catherine? Pregnant? But how? When? I couldn't even imagine something like that could happen. Although, if I looked at the situation from a different angle... So it's true? I asked in a stranger's voice. Catherine didn't respond. That's why you left then? And that letter, what was in it? I wondered at first why you were in such a hurry to take it away. Katya, please say something. I could physically feel the panic taking over. From the very pit of my stomach, anxiety was rising, trying to burst to the surface, turning into a visceral animal fear, desire to run away and hide. But there was nowhere to run. A child? Katya, damn it, Catherine, was there a child or not? It was as if she really had turned into a wax statue. I shook her by the shoulders lightly. Don't touch me, please. Tell me the truth. And then I realized I was shouting, swearing at her in a mix of Russian and English, baring my teeth and spitting saliva all over the place. That wasn't likely to help get an answer from her. Sorry. Tried to calm down and took a step back. You need to understand what I'm feeling. Even if it's true, I still love you. My voice sounded fake even to myself. There wasn't a single chance that Catherine would believe me, although her silence was itself an answer. Oh dear. Ugh. The answer that I wouldn't be able to hear. So it's true. I can't now. Finally, Catherine muttered quietly and stumbled away from the yard like a drunkard. I followed her on autopilot, but after walking out onto the street, I stopped and watched her back until Katya disappeared in the twilight of Tokyo's night. Ha 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 ha. Uh-oh. This path is very interesting. I know, right? Now Himitsu's the crazy one. She's like evil now. And Catherine is like the baby and stuff. The empty, cold, and dark house greeted me with a grave silence. I could still hear Himitsu's laughter in my head, her smirk flashing in front of my eyes, and I could feel myself burning. Probably a fever. Can you get ill because of too much nervous tension? Or die? Uh-oh. The frozen picture of the kitchen in the night glitched. I felt as if I was being sucked underground. I barely got to bed and fell onto it, not feeling the impact. BRB, I'm not gonna come back. Alrighty, Liza. I will see you, hopefully tonight or tomorrow then. Whatever you're doing, do it good, and do it well. Bye! I got into the bed, not feeling the thing. If I died here and now, it would take some time to find the body. Himitsu wouldn't come anymore, and Catherine...
Catherine.
Oh, good morning. It's the next day. See you later, Eliza. I most likely had nightmares, but they were forgotten as soon as I opened my eyes. That happens. You fall asleep delirious, fighting off demons, and losing your mind. But all the horrors that vanish from the memory without a trace, like pre-dawn mist in the first rays of sun. I felt disgusted, sick and powerless. The clock was saying 9 a.m. With effort, I managed to get up, wash my face, brush my teeth, and cook breakfast. I ate it and returned to my room. And only then realized that the rest of the day, all 15 or however many hours, would be a pointless interval between one nightmare and the next. Of course, I wanted to know the truth, but at the same time, I was too scared of it. Although things were pretty obvious as it was, by convincing myself that Catherine hadn't given a straight answer, and therefore was too early to draw conclusions, I was just turning a blind eye to the facts. Mitsu couldn't have come up with such a terrible lie herself, and Catherine's reaction made it clear that it wasn't a lie at all. However, I couldn't sort out my own feelings. Catherine had been pregnant? I mean, that we could have a child? Had I ever thought about a relationship in that context? Naturally, I had, but somewhere down the road, in a few years, 5 years, 10 years, an indefinite period of time, that could as well be an eternity, but definitely not now. I tried to imagine what would happen if... let out a dull groan and fell onto the bed. What if she had an absorption without even talking to me? Was I a cousin, 7 thrice removed or something? With no right to make my voice heard or unworthy of being informed about the situation? I clenched my fists so hard they hurt. If that was the case, I couldn't even imagine how I would feel about Catherine now. Hatred? Pity? She had her own reasons? But what about me? What about our child? I convinced myself so firmly that she had a smorption that I was shaking in pointless anger. That feeling, however, gave me some strength. I jumped off the bed and dashed to the hall. I quickly dialed her number. Well, what if she was at home? The long beep sonorously echoed in my head.
Hello?
Her mother picked up on the phone. I wonder if she ever goes to work. Is Catherine home? I blurted out at once. Nikolai, I was just thinking about you. Is Catherine home? I interrupted her rudely. No, she's at school. Mrs. Winters didn't reply immediately, and I could hear bewilderment in her voice. Thank you. I hung up and ran to change my clothes. I stormed into the class during recess. I guess I got lucky, even though at that point neither the teacher nor all of my classmates together would have stopped me. I dashed to Catherine and grabbed her hand firmly. We need to talk. I had no idea what it looked like because the entire surrounding world no longer mattered to me. Catherine seemed to be expecting it and wasn't even surprised. She immediately stood up and followed me, even though I was dragging her along like a dog. Bark! She went. To the roof. I only hope that Kagome wasn't there.
Hi, I'm Kagome. I'm here.
Fortunately, there was only the wind dismally winding through the ventilator grates. You're about to answer for everything, I shouted, having completely lost my mind. Catherine was standing there looking at me like a martyr expecting her execution. I can't understand you. I can understand you ditching me, leaving without saying a word. I can understand your attitude now. In the end, it isn't really my business. It's yours. But the child, Katya. You had no right to make a decision like that alone. What decision? Catherine screamed and tears burst out of her eyes. You're going to blame me for getting pregnant from you? Of course not. I understand it was an accident, but you didn't have the right to get rid of our child. Do you think I wanted to? Or do you think I did it on purpose? I had a miscarriage. These words struck me like a lightning bolt. Why didn't I think of the most obvious explanation right away? As soon as Mom found out, she immediately flew me to the States. I couldn't refuse. I simply didn't know what to do. At that age, you have no right to blame me. I wasn't in a condition to decide anything. Mom told me we were leaving, and we did. Mom told me not to communicate with you anymore, and I didn't. I was a little girl driven into a corner. What do you want from me? But in the end, I wrote you the letter anyway. The bloody letter. And I thought that you knew everything and were blaming it for me. I was blaming myself. And then, when I realized you hadn't read it, I thought that I could keep this a secret forever. If you never found out, then maybe Catherine was bawling, and it was the first time I'd seen her like that, turning inside out, her feelings exposed without any secrets or mysteries. So, alright, sadly guys, it has been 3 hours. It is time to save the game. I know, what a place to save this to. But we're going to see what's going on next time, for sure. No, I know. Don't blame me, blame time. Time is cruel, Mafia Babe. Ooh, this place looks more or less the same. Yeah, lots of songs are gotten now. Here's the backgrounds. Oh, we're still missing a lot. Oh my gosh, guys, we're still missing a lot. And CG. Little bit more. Little bit more. That's good. Very good, very good. Lot missing here. Yeah, we have a ways to go still. But, we'll get there, right? Well, thank you for watching, Mafia Babe, and everyone else who's here. Hope you have a lovely, amazing day. Tonight will be more Dragon Quest Builders. Mafia Babe, we are so close to finishing that game, it's crazy. But yeah, have a good one, guys. I love you all, have a great day, and I'll see all of you tonight, or tomorrow. Bye-bye!